I like it.
Hi.
Hello.
I got Alex to set me up for this thing. Which is pretty to go.
Everyone's just running around, catching up,
But
talking.
Does this have his Alice on it?
I love your
So,
background.
you know what, maybe-
That's fantastic.
So my Mac died, so
Yes, thank you. It's great, Frank.
Well, that's why I bought this. I got my mat ripped off at the airport, and then I got the insurance money. I said, Alex, give me an app.
Here, can I see? How's it run?
Great, actually.
Is it on? Or?
Well, it could be a battery. I haven't plugged it in this
Oh.
one for a couple of days. Did it come up?
It's working on it.
Okay. Then it needs battery power.
Yeah, mine, the Lenovo's.
See, it starts with Linux, then it goes, you want which one do you want?
See, the thing is, my laptop is a work laptop, so I'm really leery to install this on there because I don't want to have a situation where
It just said battery.
so it shouldn't go.
No.
Okay.
I don't think that you
No,
would
no,
want to put that on your work laptop because
Well, it's
I
not
think
work like somebody else's laptop. It's a work laptop, my work. But
Well,
I
I
need
know-
it to be 100% bulletproof.
So I
right?
have power
But-
over there.
but I don't know that
because
Alex has that as like an installation package. He I think he handcrafts those
Yeah.
and puts
Each one-
He's
all
gonna be
the
here this
icons
weekend.
and
Yeah,
Yeah, like-
Yeah.
It took him hours to get mine
Oh,
done.
did it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember like it was like 19 we had the guy here at the show that did all of the Linux theming so that when you did like the rabbit hole type stuff and the
Yeah,
Linux
wasn't that
side,
Alex?
it all came up. No, Alex either paid someone or someone volunteered.
No, he has
to
a
do all
partner. He has a
that,
partner with Alex.
Okay.
And they split it.
Because then there's also
what's his name, the guy did
from
the art?
Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank on his name. He's Ken.
Ken. He does
Lester.
icons.
Ken Lester.
Yeah.
He does icons.
Yeah,
Did Ken Lester come in 2019?
I think he did.
I know he's been here.
I know
a
he's
couple
been
of
here. I
times.
think it was 19.
Or it could
Might have been 18.
or something.
Yeah.
Because he also built his own Linux distribution. It was called AmiDog.
Oh, I've never seen that.
And it was straight Linux, but it was just icon themed
Mhm.
to look like an Amiga, right? This is actually Amiga OS running, right?
Right.
So and then crap, you have Matty OS on here, you sorry bastard. So then what do you do if you want to fire up, like if you want to run now a Linux app, it's all,
It has a rabbit hole thing in it.
it does have it in there.
Yeah, but I usually don't bother with that on that. I use rabbit hole more on 3 on the AmiKit thing on the
Oh, I got you.
on the second set.
Yes, because that's one thing I've been finding. It's like, boy, the freaking desktop environment on the
I just got to plug it in.
critically low. Yeah, you better plug
Yeah.
it. The desktop environment on Linux is like, there are things that work, but boy, is it clunky.
Yeah.
It's like, you want to, everything is like, just, you have to go through all these steps, and, and then there's all the little things that we take for granted on the Amiga, like the ability to have one window in front of the other, and yet you can still type in the other window. And it's like, I'm constantly, it's the same with the Mac, it's on like that, I'm constantly having to move windows around so I can be able to see what I'm doing. I want to move something from here to there. Oh, okay, I can move that window over there, that window over here. Make sure everything's in the right place. Now I can move the file.
Well, it could be.
Okay.
Your icon on the laptop, it's charging.
No, I don't have it.
So Val, are you good? Did you want one of those laptops to play with, or okay? All right.
But it turned it off anyway, no matter what I did.
Low battery power.
Yeah, well, I haven't used it for a couple of days. Usually I get about, it's not
the
new
camera?
anymore, but it was new.
It's beside the screen.
I had a couple, 2-3 hours.
What's
Now
that?
I get about 40
Pardon?
minutes.
On the pedestal.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
really small camera.
Yeah,
How loud is it?
it's just a webcam for your PC, but the little piece that grapples it to the monitor, and the bottom has a screw mount for a
Oh,
tripod.
it does, really? Oh,
Yeah.
That's handy.
Yeah,
Harbor Freight and,
yeah. It's crazy when you look at like what would be quote unquote a conference room camera with like wide angle and stuff.
Yeah.
You go from like a $50 webcam to like a $500 cam. It's like
Yeah, but
crazy.
But the one thing about some of those cameras, like when you get the really high end ones, they wall mount and they have they sense sound. So it's like if somebody over there is talking, the camera will pan and look at that person
Right.
automatically. You know, it's like it's pretty slick stuff.
I'll bring my Sam tomorrow. My Sam's littler than yours.
Is it really?
It's in a box called, it's a 440 EP, but
Yeah.
it's in a box called the red one from the Swedish, called Relic, from Relic in Sweden.
Yeah.
I didn't buy
Wait,
the red one. I
Relic
just,
in Switzerland?
Relic in
Sweden.
Switzerland.
Oh, Switzerland. Okay, yeah. The guy from Sweden actually showed up on IRC, Roof Black, who used to have Guru Meditation.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Um,
Chatting with him right
oh,
now.
cool. So,
They have another version of this case. Now, mind you, when I had this case, they already stopped making it. It was on closeout. They had another version of this case. It's only this big. But- And this, you know, it's gonna be out. This one, because it has the extra room, I always thought it would fall in here. You know, I thought to use that slot. There, I have actually two drives there, one on the side.
the one I have has a open, one of those
Slot loader.
slot.
Yeah, that's one is too.
Oh, okay.
It's a slot loader.
Yeah, but it's not covered, but I'll bring my relics so we can compare.
The, because I wanted to get the 460 that AQ was gonna put out again, but I was on a small case for that.
Well,
But I'm not sure what size the
no,
460 is.
it's actually, you're gonna need the one that has 4 slots because of the,
The scale, I know, but then the thing which I wondered, so the 4 slots, the motherboard's like this, the 4 slots are here. What I was thinking is you get 90-degree risers,
and then you
right?
go up.
And you turn the cards like that,
And you can do that.
and then you can
Alright,
have
guys.
a little bit thicker case, but it's still smaller footprint.
Okay.
But I gotta talk to AQ to find out exactly what.
I've been talking to, this person in, I guess, maybe I'll check the public stuff. And she says that it definitely has this, the slightly larger motherboard, you can't use the 2-slot motherboard,
Right.
case, you have to use a 4-slot motherboard case, because the double,
We'll see, but this one, like the sand boards only have, it's like, it's got.
oh, the Sam,
extra room.
Sam is, I see it, right?
No, yeah, I text, yes. Yeah, but this, so the.
But the new Sam
is
is not.
mini
ITX.
ATV or MATV or whatever it is.
So it's that much bigger.
Yeah, but it's only, so yeah, that big, right?
Right.
So that's why I thought, geez, if I could, then it just comes down to mounting points. And if I could do a 90-degree riser, this says room for 2 slots.
Yeah, but if you do an angry right here, what, video card, or you need to?
Video card and Wi-Fi.
You need to put a video card in, you need to put a sound card in, and you need to put a SAS card in. Yeah, in fact. that's
But
what-
it has sound.
No, you need all 3. So you need 3 cards, to make it normal.
Yeah, that's.
Well, it's not good. They try to say, I mean, you can see the motherboard itself.
All right,
In all the
guys.
room, there's nothing on it.
Show in 2 minutes.
If you look at the motherboard itself,
No,
there's like 2 to 4 inches of nothing on it. So they could have put it there and, wired it in, but they were saving money.
Right,
Hey,
right.
2 minute call, 2 minute call.
Everybody put their lunch orders in?
What's the lunch?
Post breakfast. Audio is on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're not muted. Yeah, all that was on YouTube.
I know, 'cause we're talking about what we were talking about.
Oh, there's Brian. Hey Brian, we're just about to start.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, I can also bring some of the drinks and stuff.
Yeah, we got the ice just
Okay, yeah, I'll-
there. It's got ice in it. It's ready to go.
Okay, yeah, we will do that right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you bring a machine?
The screen.
I didn't bring a machine, no, I'll just
All right. Well, I've got community laptops up there
Oh, okay.
that have FSUAE with a couple of images on it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So if you want to pull up a machine to play around with, I've got one
Okay.
set up for this.
Very cool, cool. Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. All right, guys, it's 10 o'clock. It's our official starting time, and we're all set up, which is amazing. In years past, we've been fiddling with machines until 11, 12 o'clock sometimes. So this will be my first time actually running the DevCon. Usually, you all know we have Steve Soley that runs these, and I am no Steve replacement, but I'm trying to get this
But
thing.
you are here, and he's not.
I'm here. Really wanting to get this rebooted. I really enjoy this part of the show, which is a little more technical. Learn a little bit more about the insides of the machine, and not so much about just the app people are building to play MP3s or whatever the case may be. So we've got we got our 4 sessions over the next 2 days. Brian Carpignano connected us with Camilla, who this is my first time meeting Camilla. So hi Camilla, it's good to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So with that, maybe Camilla, I can just turn it over to you, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So I've had an Amiga since '86 or '87, or whenever 2000 came out, and then I had a long hiatus when Amiga wasn't so hot anymore. But a couple of years ago, I got back into it, and I've been contributing to Amiga OS 3.2, especially the text editor that's in there, and also the reaction interface of icon edit that came out in 3.2.1. And so for the past year or so, I've been working on CodeCraft, which I will come back to later. That's not part of the OS. It's a standalone open source software. And in my daily life, I also program C++ in doing image analysis, medical field. This talk is, of course, is about programming on the Amiga OS directly. It's no cross-compiling or anything. So the program I made here, CodeCraft, which we will be using today in order to break it, is, as I said, open source. And apart from that, as you can see in the back of me, I've actually had a lot of boxes produced for it, which I'm selling on the website, CodeCraft. So please, if anyone wants to buy them, this is it. Very, very nice. There's even a disc following along with a label on it, like this, all in the original design. I don't know if you noticed, but those 4 boxes over there, they're actually not CodeCraft boxes, but they are some of the original boxes of TextCraft and stuff like that. So it's completely similar. I hope someone will buy it, because I have a lot of money, and even if I sell all of them, I think I'll have a loss anyway. So please just buy them if at all you can. and if anyone in the US wants to make some kind of bulk order and distribute it to save on the shipping, please get in touch as well, because I know the shipping for the US is pretty big. Yeah, so that's part of the overall thing here. What we will do once we get into CodeCraft is actually to program a window, or actually it's going to be a complete application. I don't know if any of you know Git. Probably you do. I've heard of it at least. And another one I'm talking to sometimes. He's working on making a Git client for the backbone for having Git on AmiWest 3.2. And although it's not anywhere near, and it will probably never be like a full blown can do everything like Git on other machines, it will at least be able to check it out and commit and yeah, push and pull and stuff like that. So my idea for the topic of what I wanted to program today was a UI. Some of you may know programs like Git K, Git extensions, and stuff like that, where you get a visual representation of all the commits. And although what we do today will not actually work on Git itself, it's about the GUI of it, then at least this is what it will likely turn into, because yeah, I had to have some motivation for developing today, so that is what we will do. But yeah, without much further ado, let's actually get started and do some coding.
That sounds great. I would just want to say that I love your choice of packaging for CodeCraft. I've always liked the transformer and the text edit boxes, and staying in alignment with that look and feel is quite great in my opinion.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, no, annoying. I can't get that away. Maybe. Yeah. No.
That looks good on our side when you do that.
Yeah, but it comes back up as soon as I maybe I can at least move it away. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, so I don't know if you can see sharing my screen. Just going to turn my camera off. I hope you can see my screen now. Yeah.
Yes.
So, so I of course have installed CodeCraft already, and I put the icon here on the box. It's simple in installer if you want to do it yourself. And I actually just uploaded like an hour ago a new version of CodeCraft, which is 0.6. We're still in the alpha, so you may run into issues, and I know there's some issues that can only be fixed with an update to AmiWest itself. So bear with us there. I mean, yeah, I have the inside scope, so of course I will make some of these fixes in due time. So, but it does work even in 3.2.1. You just may have to restart sometimes. Yeah. So when it comes up, this is what you will see: an empty project tree and some information browsers down here, and over here you have what I call the makefile browser, which you will see later on. But the text editor here it's the same as text edit on 3.2.1. So these things are just put up on top of text edit, and in fact CodeCraft is an extension into text edit. So you're actually launching text edit, but making sure that all of these extras are in there as well. And what these extras does is that they add 3 new menus up here, and they actually also add a new menu item there. And I think that's it. Yeah. So project over here, that's about the individual files as you know it, and editing and syntax highlighting here as well. So project tree is your, let's call it entire program, all the files. So once you have something you have worked on before, like CodeCraft itself. We're actually developing CodeCraft inside CodeCraft, very meta. So and once we bring this up, it will remember the files you had opened the last time, so it will open those again for you and even place the cursor at the correct position where you left off. And you have these lists of all the files that are in your project. And once you later on choose to build your project, say rebuild, then the output from it will come down here. And if there are any errors in it, and there are some warnings, I'm going to show once it's done building. So if you were to say previous message or next message up down here, you can actually there's no warnings. Okay, so but if there were warnings, you could step through them down there, and if you were to click on them as well, you would step into the program wherever the bug was. We'll see that soon enough once we start developing. Yeah, and then once that's the building part, and this is the overview of your project tree, as I call it in this here, and which files is shown here. That's actually sort of a file browser, but it shows only C files and H files and assembler files as well. And which files it shows is something that you can set up for the project tree parameters. There's thing in here, and then you can say up you want to see C and H files and S and SM files and make files. So but what you type in here in standard Amiga DOS wildcards, then that is what you will see if these files exist. So, and then also in the build here, you can set up how you want to what makes this project build, and you. In this case, we just say, okay, we want to run smake because this is made by SASC, and their make tool is called smake. But you can write any other tool or even a script if you have that. So it's completely agnostic to what kind of build system and make files you have behind. You could use it with basic compilers or anything else. You just need to write here what is your build tool. Make tool, whatever you call it. And of course, you don't have to write anything, but if you don't make a clean command here, then make cleanup here will not work, obviously. So, and for reasons, you can actually, if you were like writing a PostScript file or something, and this in here, saying building maybe, or later on running, could actually just show your open program that would show your PostScript file, and then you could use it like an integrated tool to write PostScript files if that's or HTML or whatever you want to do. So it doesn't really care about what you want, what it is you're doing. However, once you run some programs, you will have to write in here which program you're running, because this project is actually CodeCraft itself. It doesn't make that much sense to run CodeCraft from within CodeCraft. So for building CodeCraft, we are actually not using the debugger, but we're testing it a lot of times. So, and it can simulate that you're running your program from CLI or from Workbench. So you can choose whatever you want. And there are also options to change the working directory. That if you have some test data, you can change the working directory before you actually execute it. And the same with the build. You can change your build directory to something else if you don't want to build from inside your project directory itself. Yeah. So this is basically it. Recent is where you can open it. You can open an old one if it's not in your recent list, and you can make a new one. We will make a new one shortly. Just showing off the debugger as well. So you can run within the debugger, and in that case, whenever you are broken, you can toggle a breakpoint. So say you're here, and then you were pressing F9. it would actually add a breakpoint in this line. So whenever the execution comes to this line, it will break. And in that case, you will be able to see the variables and the call stack at this point. I'll demonstrate that. However, I will use the little test program we have here. So very simple one, actually not that simple, but it's a free level. There's a main, and that main calls f, and f calls f sub, and then inside f sub we have a breakpoint. So let's say I want to run it, and then I just press F5, and then immediately we are broken here at this point, and we can actually take a look down here and see all the variables that are defined at this, and global right now has the value of 2, and first has the value of 1 2 1 2 1 2. So if we were to step one line, we would be able to see that 1 2 1 2 1 2 is actually put into this variable, and see the value change. So we can just do that by just step over, and then now it changed down here, and you can see the different values. So classic debugger source level, and in the call stack you can also see that we started in main, and this. These things down here, those two here, those only work for SASC at the moment, and it requires something from the compiler. So VBCC doesn't provide this information. GCC does provide some sort of similar information. So in the future, we will likely, not promising anything, but it's likely we will make a similar so that it can be used with GCC as well, and maybe with other developers of other compilers, other languages, E maybe, or some of the basics variants. If they provide something that we can use, we could definitely spend some time on doing that. Of course, first things first is to actually just get the first version out of this that can do all these things. So and now if we were to just run it 2 more times, we would get to the end, and we're out of the program again. Now it's stopped. I don't know if you noticed, but up here it says debugging whenever the program is running. So it's a little subtle, but it will show up here in the line that it's in debugging mode, meaning that the program is running. Of course, you could also just run the program without the debugger. This program doesn't really do much, so it doesn't make sense, but you could. Anyway, this is enough about CodeCraft itself. It's just a tool for the actual presentation, of course.
Before we go on, does anyone have any questions about that one? I know we got one from online from back at the beginning. I think people are wondering where they should go to buy this when it's available. If we've had that worked out.
The boxes and the notebooks and all that.
Yeah, on your side, there's actually a link to it in the description of this talk, but also it's just bowman.dk/codecraft, and then you'll be taken to the site, and there it will show. But the way to buy the boxes is simply by type the link here.
Live streaming is on.
Okay. So
I don't know if that means that live streaming is really on. It means that I've restarted it from Jitsi, but I think Bill still needs to approve the stream starting.
Okay.
Also checking the people that were watching it, see if they see it or not.
So let's see here.
When I checked earlier, there was like a 1 minute lag on YouTube. So
Yeah. It looks like we may be back up.
Okay.
Yes, well, there's something there. Let's put it that way. It does look like it's pretty on right now.
I would have moved it for icon. Arrow.
So for anyone on YouTube, we haven't really done much while you were offline. we noticed. So yeah.
Okay, didn't hear the answer to the question about where to find the book and box.
Yeah.
I didn't see.
So if you go into to this page here, yeah, now you come to this homepage, and it tells you a little bit about what it is, and you can download the latest ADF we have compiled. As I said, we made it earlier today, and if you click in here, you will see that what the shipping is and the cost. And by the way, the cost here will go up to 50 euro 1st of November, so you have like 11 days to get a little bit cheaper. As I said, I'm almost certain to make a loss on this, so I need to recover at least some money. So yeah.
Okay, so it's 45 euros now on the website.
Yeah, it is, and it will go up to 50 when on November 1st. So yeah. But as I said, if people want to make some kind of a bulk purchase and do the shipping themselves from the US, I'm more than willing. Just get in contact with me, and then we'll find out. This is of course also my email, so write to me on that one, or find me on Facebook. I'm there by my name as well. So.
Shipping and handling is $20 to the US.
Yeah. The shipping and handling people, they
the
get
euro
paid.
still below the dollar these days?
It was for a while.
It was.
I saw the euro go before $1, and I like pulled out my credit card and said, "Everything's on sale, honey. I'm buying stuff."
Yeah. I think it's more or less 1-to-1 for comparisons reason right now. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's going to be.
yeah, and of course the editor itself has syntax highlighting, so this is nice, but that comes from TextEdit itself. And by the way, you can make your own extensions to it. The API is in the NDK, and you can also make your own highlighters if you want to make something from something besides those four. If you want to make basic or whatever, then there's a way to do that. Maybe get in touch with me if you want to do that. I can certainly help you out and give you some pointers and stuff like that.
Does it have an ARX port? Can it run scripts?
Yes, it can. So there's an ARX port, and there's even for the extensions a direct way for the extension to execute ARX without going through all of the ARX. So if we go in here, for example, I don't know if I can find it. Here, I can simply execute an ARX command based on the current document, and then you can do various things. And yeah, so there's even like an extra cursor mode, so you actually kind of get an extra cursor if you want to do something manipulating the text, but you don't really want to move the actual cursor. Then you can say ARX cursor on, and then this hidden cursor can go somewhere else and do some changes, and then when you off again, then whatever you send of commands after that will affect the actual cursor. So there's a lot of things that you can do, and you can add, if you make an extension like this, then you can actually make it go into these. I think it's down here. So you can make an extra item down here. So if you have something special for refactoring tools or something you want to make, then you can add your menu item there, and you can add your own menu items there. of course, you can add a complete menu. And I'm thinking about making maybe so you can have like a tools menu where you can also just add your own items without having to add a complete menu.
So
But
menu-
there's also some. Say again?
the menu structure you're saying is user adaptable?
It's sort of user adaptable. I mean, these three here are fixed, except that extensions can add items to it. You can add as many menus as you want. However, of course, there's a limit to how wide the screen is, and then you can add your own settings items as well. Right now, the save settings doesn't actually save your settings, so you will have to come up with some other way of doing that. It's more than likely that I will sometime find out a way for the extensions to be notified when to save. But, yeah. Yeah. So this is basically it. I do want to first show some Git. This is Git extension. This is Codecraft Git that we are developing in, and it does show here that you can have like different branches and different and then to the side the blue line is your current branch, and each of these lines are a commit and stuff. These branch names and things is something that will be shown. We will do something similar. It will be a little bit simpler today than this. So my plan is to open a window. Maybe we will add a button or two at the top just to show that we can have some buttons up here. Then we will add what is called a list browser in here that shows this, and we will add a lot of, or at least 3 or 4 items that mimics being commits, and we will also maybe add a click tab area down here with some tabs, and having maybe a commit and something that looks like diff. I don't think we will be able to actually put something in that looks and works correctly, but we will get to something like that. So this is the plan for today. And one last thing I didn't show about Codecraft is actually we have templates. So when we go in and say new, this is completely new on the version released today. So we could say we want to in this folder, let's call this I don't know, how's a Git. The Git client that this other person is working on will be called a Git for Amiga Git. So I think this is as good as name as any for this project. You can move it afterwards. It doesn't have to stay there. And the name of the project, of course, we will also call that browser Git. And then we can choose, say we want to make it from a template. And there are right now 3 different templates, and you can make your own if you want. And they are right now categorized by the compiler. So you could categorize them actually any way you want. It's just file folders on the disk, but so this may change. And then there's a description, and we want a simple we want a Boosie window application right now, and it's just opening an empty window, so hopefully this will not crash or anything. But yeah, so it came up and it has already pulled up the parameters dialog for us, and it has filled out most of these things for us. So we call smake. We don't have a clean for this smake file, so instead we're just deleting the O file ourselves. But you could do other ways. And in order to run it, you just call browser agit and for now, we just started as if one can click CLI, and so that's basically it. So just say OK to this, and then it has also already created a first file for us, and then a makefile. Just take a look at the makefile. It's actually just compiles this single file we have and creates this. So there's not much to it. And if you want to edit it and add more files, we can do that. I think today we will just stay with one file, and maybe in 1 year I can come back and maybe show more of how far I've gone with this in the meantime. Maybe not that far, because of course CodeCraft has my main attention, but let's see. So this file itself has already done a lot of work for us, so we don't have to do anything. And in fact, if we were to say press F6 to build, then it built down here, and then if we say run, it would actually already put up this window for us. So this concludes today's talk, and you can go home now. So no, yeah. I want to go through what it actually does. Otherwise, it wouldn't be much of a programming talk. So the first things we do, of course, is in any C program. I mean, this is not going to be something that teaches you to program in C. So I'll assume that you are at least know something about programming. Then you can maybe follow along. But so we need to include a lot of header files, and also protos for the functions we're going to need. And these protos from the NDK also includes some of the structure definitions and defines and all sorts of things. So we don't need to include. Actually, we wouldn't need to include this one, because this one will do it for us. Sorry. Yeah, and the same with this one. I don't know why they're in there, but they could actually be removed. Let's not do it now. Let's focus on the next part. But these things are needed, and later on we will be using different components, and you generally need to have an include field file for each component. There's also like this version string. You just need to have a string that has this this in it, and you can of course change this, and maybe later you can use some other tool to automatically update this. But for now, it just has this version string, and then you can do with it what you want, change it. And on Amiga, you need to have a base pointer to each library that you use. And by the way, I call them boopc classes because that's what they are. In, I don't know, 92, 93, something around that, the classes, boopc classes were created. They were renamed later to Reaction, and was in 3.5 and 3.9 and 4. OS4, and then I went in 3.2 as well. They have been updated substantially in 3.2, and some changes have gone from OS4 to these classes, and some the other way. So yeah, it's not quite up to what OS4 does, because OS4 has like faster graphics and stuff, but it's very similar, and most of the code can just be recompiled on OS4, and then it will work. However,
So you say it is code compatible with OS4, between OS4
Yeah.
and OS3?
Yeah, it's. I mean, we haven't tried to compile it, so that may be something with the compiler complaining about small things. But in general, yes, it would be compilable on OS4 as well, and be a native application there as well. At least this small one here, definitely that there shouldn't be that much problem in that.
Does CodeCraft generate the make file, or is that something that the developer has to create?
That's something the developer has to do. We have these templates, so you have a start made for you, but it doesn't update it or anything. We are specifically not going to touch that. And the idea is, of course, many projects already have large build systems, and how this makefile looks internally can be very specific, and we would simply be unable to do anything meaningful with it. So for many projects, if you have an old project, we wouldn't be able to do anything anyway. So we're simply leaving that up to the programmer still. It's a design decision, but at least you have the building and the debugging here. So. Okay, so as I said, all of the components that, for example, the window and inside the window there's a layout. Those things need to be those come in libraries, and sorry. Yeah, so they come in libraries, and then you need a library pointer to them, and some of the first things we do in main down here is actually to open those libraries and make sure that we have a window class, which is the window, and we have a gadget called layout gadget, and this layout gadget that is inside the window is what makes it possible to have like dynamic layout of your buttons and everything. So first thing to do is open those libraries, and if something goes wrong, we can go down to clean exit, and we can delete the things and even delete the object if it fails. And there may be some tests and stuff that have missed how we should do in order to make good programming. But I mean, for now, this is going to be good enough. So once we have opened the libraries, classic open library calls, make sure we have them. Then we call start UI, which is this function up here. And what this does is actually it first creates the layout that's supposed to go inside the window. And we don't actually check if this succeeds or not, because we are only having a pointer from it, and we are just passing it in here when we create the window object itself. And the smart thing about reaction is actually that if this fails and it was a null pointer, then the creation of the window will also fail. It will detect that you gave it a null pointer. So don't ever give it a null pointer here, because then you will not open your window. So we don't have to check on this unless we are actually using it for something else. So that's, of course, be a bad thing if you didn't check it. But then you can just check on the final object you made, and if you have that, you're good to go. Otherwise, you will have to quit, and maybe you should, of course, say what happened and why it didn't work. And yeah. But for now, let's just assume that things do work. And what we then do is actually ask it to open a window. So this window object is like an abstract thing. It's an instance of a class, but it isn't actually the physical window. In order for this window object to become an actual physical window, you have to call a method on it. So you call do method on the window object, and the method you want to call is VM open, and that will actually pop up the window for you. And as a result of that, you will get a pointer to the old intuition window. So you should be aware that window object and intuition window are two different things. And if somehow you couldn't open it, well, we just give up and make clean exit as well on this window object to make sure it disappears. Then we do all sorts of process events, and when we're done with that, we say, well, let's call VM close, just as we did up here on our object, which will close the window, and then we just do a clean exit, and that's it. So the only really interesting thing that is left is actually the process events, and that function is also one we have written, and it's down here. And what you do here is actually first you get you ask your window object for an attribute called the signal mask, and that you will store inside here. So you need to have the address to your ulong, and then it will store the signal mask inside window signal. And this is how, of course, AmiWest is built up by sending signals to tasks. Every task has up to 32 signals it can be signaled on, and whenever a signal arrives at a task, it will come alive if it's waiting for signals. So what we do here is say, let's wait until we get this signal, and so the only thing that can wake us up from this wait is actually if a signal comes in about the window. Nothing else will actually wake us up. And then if we get this signal back, this is then the signal we have received. And in theory, we should then be checking if this received signal is a signal from is this window signal. However, since this is the only one we're waiting for, it doesn't really matter. In any case, you can call this handle method even if you didn't receive a signal. That's actually also why we have this while loop, because we need to be sure that there are no more events waiting for us before going back into waiting mode. Yeah. So we have received the signal, and yeah, and then just waiting and seeing that this isn't the last message that we received in this loop, and we get it, and then we have the result code here, and part of that result code is masked out. So this will tell us which class message it is, and if it's a closed window message, then we just say end is true, and then we get out of this loop, and we call clean exit, and actually then we're done. Yeah, so actually this may fail, but that's anyway. That's maybe something that we need to fix once we go into more depth with how this is done. So that's basically it. We open the window and wait for the close to be clicked. So open the window, and when we click close, that's when we loop out again and close everything up. So it's actually quite simple and not that difficult to make. There may be a lot of text here, but that's what this template is for. So we don't have to write all this to start with. Now the window we make, we ask for various things about it. We ask it to be centered on screen when it's opening up. We could not do that if we didn't want to, but let's just do that. We ask it to be active when it starts. You can actually just say, just open and leave the other window you have active if you don't want that. Give it a title bar. We say it should be draggable. So we have a close gadget, a depth gadget, this one, a size gadget in the corner, and then we can say it should have inner width and inner height of this many pixels. And then it also says that we want to listen for close window, which sort of is important because we want to be told when this closes. And then the final thing is that we say what is the layouts that should be in this window, and this is just a pointer up here, as I said earlier. And a layout can hold more gadgets inside of it almost automatically, and we will be doing that very shortly. So um, these other things here, defer layout, that means that when the window is resized or for other reasons it has to relay out itself, where should this take place? Should this take place inside the intuition, or should it take place inside the program itself? And if you defer layout, that means you defer it from being in intuition into inside our program. So set this to true, it makes the system more responsive. There may be reasons for not doing that, but in general, that's true. Space inner, so if that's true, it puts a little margin on the inside. And oh, sorry, that's space inner, that's between the elements, and space outer is a margin on the outside. There are also other things, so you can specify exactly how many pixels should be on each side, but in general, don't do that because that will override your system settings. So unless you have specific reasons for setting a space to 0, then don't touch it. In general, just leave it to the OS to decide how many pixels there are. So pretty basic actually. And if we now want to have something else inside it, we would probably like to have a yeah. And the other thing is which direction is this layout going, and as you saw earlier, this one is more or less organized by having menu bar, list browser, and something below. So it should be a vertical layout. So you have something on top of another. And once we get down to this one, which has something side by side, then you will add another layout inside that is on the other direction. So it will go mostly like the outer layout will have something like the buttons up top, the list browser here, and then it will have a horizontal layout below, and this horizontal layout will then be divided in two parts or more, depending on what it wants to. So that's basically the idea of making UI. You make components and put them inside each other. Actually, the only way you can really put something inside another is by having a layout. So you have a lot of layouts, and then at the end you have the buttons and things like that. There are a few other gadgets classes that can also have children. One of them is the click tab down here. It can have different stuff here. What it actually is doing is it's reusing or depending on another other class called the page, which instead of having your gadgets side by side, have them in a C stack, so on top of each other, and that's how this is actually implemented. We will get to that maybe at the end. Time is running, so let's actually do something more. So if we want to say, okay, we want to have the list browser at the top. Okay, so let's do that. We will then need another object. So let's make a pointer for it and call it commit browser. And basically we will follow sort of the same idea here. So we have the the commit browser is equal to, and then it would be a list browser class, and in order to the SRT. Oh, I had it down there. So in order for this function to be available, in order to make sure that we can open this, then we need to open the library and all these kinds of things. So we also the here list browser base, and we need to have the photos for list browser. And of course, we also need to have actually call it with something. But let's say for now, let's just uh, make it almost empty. And then down here, when we open the libraries, we of course need to open this list browser library as well, which contains the list browser class. And finally, when we are closing things down again, we also need to close it again. So now we have created it up here, there. Then we need to put it inside the main layout. And the way you do that is just to say layout at child, at child, and then the pointer to your class or object. And that's it. If you want to make some modification to how this works inside, you after you've added it, you can with a lot of child tags modify the size and the width of it and do stuff. And we will get back to that quite soon. I'm just saying it's you add something, and then with these child ones you specify how it's, you modify how it's used, and then after you've modified it, you can then say, okay, then we want to add another child and modify that, another child and modify that. So that's how we actually add them into. By the way, now maybe it didn't fail. It should have failed. Let's see. Yeah. F8 will actually see the warning here, and we were to actually with relays. So if we were down there and press, then it would automatically jump to the location that is set down here. So that's just another thing. So of course we will not be able to allow to have to have that one right now, and see if we have something that's working. Suddenly we have inside our window a list browser. So this is really cool already. Looks great. We can resize it, and the reaction or the classes will take care of all of this for us. So it's nothing we have to think about. Now, looking back here, you can see that this one here actually has is able to be resized down here, and this layout is actually able to do this for us as well. I believe you have to say, and you have to do this quite weirdly in front of that child. So add child weight bar, and this needs to be true. Then there would be a weight bar, such a resizer before it. This is too early, so let's just put it down here for later. But this is how you do it, and then you will get this resizer like we have here, so you can change it exactly the same way. We'll get back to that very shortly. We need something to have below, and what we want to have below here is maybe for now just another list browser, because then we can move a little faster. But so So we will have something that says we put this down here and say it's a files browser. We have another one down there. The first one, we have the files browser below. And in order to have this wait bar in between them, we need to just wait. And that needs to have the value true. And of course, it needs to say, sorry, child wait bar. So let's try and build that. Okay, and now we have two, and we are able to resize those two between each other. So basically how it works. However, it may be that when we start up, we want to have say 60% for this year and then 40% for this below. And the way we do that is also with these child. So we can say child what is it? Width? No, sorry. I'm just let's do something else. Let's go to the NDK and then just the include file inside the gadgets and in this browser. And here you can actually, if you're in doubt, you can also of course look in the documentation part, but they are all in here, and we want to find the ones that are called child. Oh, not this browser. Oh, sorry, layout. It's so the child ones here, and then they have this that is weighted height. If we were to say weighted height, and we want the first one to have 60%, and the other one also weighted height, we want to have that 40% when we start up. Maybe we should make our window a lot higher or a lot wider. Let's make it 600 by 350, so that's some size. We built. I don't know if you saw it, but I pressed F6 to build, and now F5 to run. So now it's much larger, and the proportions between the top and the bottom has been made. And so this is the first step. We may want to change this into a click tab. We'll do that if we have time. We have 1 hour left, so we can add a couple of buttons up at the top first. So let's do that. And in order to have buttons side by side, they need to be inside a layout as well. Can I just annoying? Okay, so yeah. Okay. So we need let's call it a button layout, which is what we will have at the top. And this should be a layout as well. So let's just more or less copy what we have here already. and place it in the order they also appear, just to make it simpler. So this layout at the top, which will hold our buttons and will be called button layout instead. It's also a layout, but this should be horizontal. So so it's horizontal, or at least I believe it's called horizontal. We can check control horizontal. Okay, you can both use both. Or you can leave it right out like that. It's great. Um, Only the top level layout, the one that goes into the window, has a use for this defer layout. So this doesn't make sense here. Then we have in the outermost layout, we had some spacing all around. It doesn't make sense to have spacing all around the button as well. So we will not have an outer spacing for our buttons. Oh, sorry, this should be false. But we may want, or we should want, spacing between the buttons. So the inner spacing should still be true. And then, of course, these things that we add needs to be, well, definitely we don't want a weight bar between the buttons up there. And also we say button 1 and button 2. And what you can do, if you don't want them to take up so much space, you can just say they should have 0%. They will not actually be have no space. They will get their minimum size. So it's a good idea if you just want them to have the, and then it's width. So now our 2 buttons, we haven't made those buttons yet, we will. So now we have a button layout at the top. We should also put this into our main layout. So let's insert this, and this is button layout. And just as with the buttons where we said we give them a height of 0, we can also do that with the layout up top and say have a height of 0 with not a height, but a weighted height of 0 up here. Then we'll just get a minimum height that it can do it. We haven't added the buttons yet, so we need to have those as well. And yes, we had button 1 and button 2. And in order for us to have the buttons, we need to go through the same dance we did earlier. So we need to have a library for the buttons. So it's button base, and we need the file up here. So that was the base. Then we need to open the library. Let's do this down here, and it should be gadget. By the way, if anyone has any questions, just ask away. So we have the button base. We make the gadget.
I have a question for the code craft.
Yeah.
Well, for the functions, is there anything that can be done to say, like, go to definition into the EDK and show what the arguments are needed for open library? Is there any way that can be added? Like
Whether or not you could have it so it would show you the syntax of the commands.
It's definitely something we want to do eventually. It's not our focus right now, but yes, we definitely want to do this. Our plan for most command is to actually, and we also want to have like completion. So if you press Control Space, then it will either give you the options in a pop-down window, or it will. So actually, these things are sort of already there. You actually saw some of it earlier, almost by mistake. But when I search for this thing here, we were actually looking in this Codecraft, or the extension has on. Actually, this is. You can add a change listener to the text gadget. So this is to the gadget itself, and not to the text edit. You can do this if you have your own text editor gadget, but you can add a change listener, and then you will be called on whenever characters are entered or deleted and stuff. And sorry, mostly entered. But you can listen, and what we played a little around with here is that you were listening for the larger than sign and the dots. So when you were typing in a structure and dot something, it will bring up this window, and there's an rex command for that in in the text editor class itself, where you can say I believe it's a long time since I've tried this out, but you say what is it you have typed and what are the options that it should bring you, and then it will do this for you. So it will bring up like a short window where your cursor is with the options of completing. So that is one thing we have a little bit of work on already, and your question about showing the syntax, we plan on having support for using C tags in order to get some information, and for the OS variables or functions, we may want to do something special for those, so they're faster and sort of the same thing. So yes, it's definitely something we plan to do. Again, it's a little later because we have lots of plans, and we want to support GCC. We want to maybe support OS4. We want to do that, and then yeah. So actually, we in you can see that we have the templates we want to do. As I said, we would like to have this popping in or out, be able to search in files, do the CTAG support as you talked about, the code completion that I just do. We would also be somehow, I would like to be able to somehow stop the debugger by force. Right now, of course, AmigaOS is not very good at killing tasks, because then you have a lot of resources open that you may use. So, and the AmigaOS doesn't have resource tracking as such. So stopping it from the outside is risky, to put it mildly. And yeah, so lots of things that can be done. We're thinking about those. Maybe just putting the tasks to eternal sleep. It would not free up the memory, but at least it will be there, and we can. And, yeah. So lots of good ideas that we have, and definitely CTAGs or both completion. That's also here, but also for the syntax and being able to show that definitely in our list of ideas. We have a lot of things that we still want to do. Some of them are done, but we want to be able to not only do step into and step over, but we also want to step out, step return, and break. Just saying break as soon as you can, and yeah, so lots of ideas on what we want to do, and what we have up here is in our to-do list is maybe hopefully what we will be able to do before we, um, we release the 1.0 version. We also have a online. Oh, it's yeah. So we have there's this menu or not menu help document, Amiga guide documents that comes along, and we want to write something on this. We of course have something written already, but we want to write more, and we want to make this into a PDF so that actually there's something that go into the box. It's empty right now, and that's by purpose because this manual will grow and evolve over time. So we will just publish the PDF, and then people can print a new version. And also, what is sold in this is also, besides the one disc with the label, there are actually 5 more labels for discs 2, 3, 4 up to disc 6. And right now we only have one disc, so it's future-proof in that sense as well. So we'll have disc labels for the future when it grows. So lots of plans, and it will happen slowly. Yeah. By the way, this debugging with the variables and call stack, that's actually an old format that SAS made and didn't really publish the specifications for. So a lot of the work we have done is actually in trying to reverse engineer how this old format worked, and we have painstakingly found out what every little bit all along in this huge format does. So this took us almost half a year, and slowly we are getting to the point that it actually works. The only things we don't have working yet is bit fields and enums, but all the rest seems to be working. Even small and far memory models and also near and far memory models. Yeah, all of these things we do them, and so it was really fun. But also I should say this is not my work alone. Because it's the main developer, but Ralph has been helping me for the past year, and we have had sessions on Discord almost every Saturday and Sunday, 2 to 3 hours each time, and he's been a great help. I've been on the keyboard, but he's kept an eye on what I've been doing all the time, so it's always good and to have something to spar with. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the other things, and again, I'm just switching, and then I'm back to the program we were working on before. Can do this pretty easy. Of course, I'm running within WinUIE, and JIT is enabled, and there's fast, actually no slowness of the blitter, and so it is fast. But as any programmer knows, waiting for compile to finish is mostly just wasted time. So that's one of the concessions I make. I like to work within what I call within the Amiga, even though this is of course this WinUIE, but it still feels real to me. And of course, if you had a Vampire or a PyStorm or even a fast 060 or something, and running it on a 4 or 8 color public screen, then it would feel almost as fast. I haven't tried that myself, but it probably will. In any case, we cannot do anything about how slow a compiler is, and that's slow as well. So you do want as fast as the system as you can get, unless you really want to have the old school experience and Up to you. I like this being on the OS, but not having to be too slow. So anyway, we were in the middle of adding some buttons, so we opened the library, and we should also remember to close the library. That's more or less all of those things. So I think we can just stay up here. We want the happy base. So this was button 1, and then of course none of this applies. So we have the button 1, and I believe this is how it is. Let's see if it builds. It did. Oh, gee, why did it build? Oh, we declared them both, but the second one is still 0. Yeah, so we need to, of course, to initialize number 2 as well. Or not initialize, create the class. So we have B2 here, and let's build that, and let's try and run it. And well, at least B1 was there, so B2 wasn't. I wonder what we did wrong.
B2 was there, it was just all the way to the right.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. So something after here needs to be put in, and yeah, we could put in another button, or
Could
make
put it-
this.
You could do another
make
layout, a
this-
horizontal layout with the buttons.
Yeah, with no buttons, and just say that this should take up all the space. I mean, there's lots of things we could do. I'm just going to do the really simple thing and just say button number 2 should take up the remaining space. And just yeah, so now they're there, and we do have the buttons, and later on we will hopefully maybe be able to do something with them. I don't know. So let's put something into the list. So it looks like something that could be with a lot of commits. And if we again go back to here, you can see that it actually has several columns. It has a column out here that's something like a graphical column, and it has the name of the commit text. It has the committer, it has a date, and then it has I think it's the share or the hash key for the commit. If we wanted to have all of those, I don't know, but let's just play with the idea that we have all those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. Actually, let's forget about the last one for now. We can always add that later. So 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. So if we want to have columns in here, we need, before we actually create. Oh, did my machine just die? Probably did. Anyway, yeah. So so before you create this browser, the commit browser here, then you need to set up all the what's it called? The column info, and actually let's just go into Codecraft and, for example, check out how we do it in the variable browser, because that's the one we have down here where it shows things, and this browser node. So create the Good. I don't have audio from your side, but I assume that things are back on. Can you give me a hint that we're back on?
Streaming is on.
Going on.
Perfect. I think we're back on, right?
I think we're all connected. You can hear
Yeah.
us?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we're all reconnected. Let's see how long this lasts.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it lasted for 1.5 hours this time, so maybe we could get done before it stops again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'll put more quarters in the machine.
Okay,
So,
they said they.
is it working? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I just did while things were offline, or just as when we went offline, was to copy something from another. So find two variables: a column info pointer and a list. And the list is what will hold the content in our list, and the column info is what will define the columns. So first thing we do is just say new list of the list. So it's an empty list, and then you specify again on when you create the list browser that you have the list, and this is the one labels. So just say labels and then pointer to your get list. So now we will have the lists. Of course, we haven't put anything into it. It's just a empty list, but yeah, let's have it. And the other thing we want to have is the columns. Right now it's copied from the other one, so we will have to do more, but we'll get back to that before we build. I just want to see here, and then we have a column info here. So it's pointed to the column info, and we want to have that one as well. All of it, and that's CI. So now we have defined the columns, and we have been able to do this. So we can just say, do we want it to be trackable? Not really. So the column 1 or 0 out here was the one with the graphics in it. Let's just give this a width of 20. It's not so much. Don't have to have it trackable. And then we have column 1. That's a lot. So let's make this 280, or maybe just don't specify anything. And column 3, that was the committer name. So let's make this 100. And column 4 was the date. So let's make that
Is on.
1. Did I lose everyone for a while again, or?
You're seeing a delay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're quite unstable on my side right now.
Okay.
Everything seems to be in sync right now. Let's see what we can do.
Okay.
That's what you get with boy bands.
I think I lost you again. So.
Okay. So can you hear us now?
I can hear you. Yes. Oh. Again, I don't know how much you heard, but I put it so when we create the list browser, I gave it the pointer to the column info and the pointer to the list, and the column info is just made up by calling this function and saying we have 4 columns, and this is the definition of the 4 columns, and that's made. Again, should probably check that this actually works.
I don't think she can hear us, and we can't
She's
hear
not-
her.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Jared,
Yeah.
Check the mic on your laptop. On my.
I can hear you.
Well, I mean, our does it? Let's see here. Let's see. So maybe.
oh, she's just typing something there in the corner.
Okay.
She says she can hear us. Okay.
So, somehow we lost our speakers.
Is it on?
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Reconnected with Bluetooth?
Yeah, we lost our Bluetooth speakers.
Checking Windows. Maybe
Okay, so-
Windows killed it.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's the reason I said bottom line.
Oh,
Huh.
oh, that was nice of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Looks like, okay. so
Testing.
it's
Can you
easier
hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Wait.
Okay.
Yep,
Somehow we lost
perfect.
Bluetooth and all that as well.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. We're back.
All right.
As I've been trying now to say a couple of times, we set up the column lists over here. So define column info, saying 4 columns, and these are the widths we want. And then we want to have a node also with 4 columns, and it's important that you don't specify more than you have actually said you want to allocate. So beware. I think this is fixed in a newer version, but older versions will definitely not check if you go beyond what you should go here. So make sure that what you allocate or say there is also no more than what you're defining. So let's just say we have here commit. Oh. Let's commit A. We have here what should be the committer name. So let's say that's myself, and on column 3, this is where we want to have date. So let's just say today. And the rest is of course not relevant here. We don't have all these columns. So this is how you make a single node. I haven't actually declared this node here, so let's do that. Oh no. And once we have made the node, we can say add tail to our commit list and which node that we want to add. So we new our commit list, we create the column info, we have actually added a single node to the list, and all of these things are now specified when we create the gadget, saying this is the column info and this is the list, and hopefully if I haven't made any mistakes, it will work. It certainly did. So it shows these things, and actually we only have 3, so maybe I should have specified a width on this one here, otherwise it became 0. So let's just say it's 400. Actually, you can say wait. You can say this. So we now have the space out here where we want to have this graphic shown. We have the name of the commit, we have the name of the committer, and we have a date. All looks very nice. I don't want to have these separators here, and we can remove those. Oh. As I said, I think it crashes when I'm shutting down, and I think I know why. It's the template we're using. It has a bug. I noticed that earlier, so let's go and fix this. What happens is that when we click exit, we call clean exit, and then this quits. However, after we have called clean exit, this function stops. The process events function stops, and we go up back here to this type view thing here, and we come out of the process events, and then we call clean exits once more and dispose the object that is already deleted. So this is actually not very good. I think we should just not do these things here, because it will happen when we leave here and we call clean exit. Then all of these will be, we don't actually have to close the window. When we dispose the object, the window will close itself. So I think this will take care of the crash we just had. Let's try. Yes, it did. So yeah, what did we have? We have this list here with our commit in it. We can click on it, but once I release the mouse, it will not show the one I've clicked on. And this is normal in here to have something that you clicked on. You can actually unclick, so it's okay to have zero, and you will also be able to select more than one. So we should have something like multi-select, and we should show the selection we have. So if we want to have these things in here, the things that we want to ask for here is when we create the list browser here, is to say list browser show selected. That will make it show the selection and not just when you click on it. So it will always show what is selected. And we also want to have multi select. And I believe it's multi-select. I can't remember exactly. If it's not, we will have to look it up. It's close enough. It was. So we can have both of these now, and if we run, it will, when we click on it, remember that it's selected. And if we have more, we could multi-select them as well. So this is good. Oh, and then I talked about not wanting to have these divider lines here. It's a question if you want it or not, but I think it's a bit too heavy. At least this one would be too heavy. Maybe we would want over here, but let's just remove them. And the way we have here, if we and then go through here. So when we define the column info, CI meaning color info, we can say if we want to have separator or not. It's default true, but when we define the columns up here, we can just say false. Let's do that for all of them, or we can just, yeah, let's do them for all of them. Doesn't matter with the last one, but yeah. So now we have it, and one, oh, sorry, that was, these separators are actually up in top. Let's find one more. There's one more to define. I think it's on this one. Vertical separators.
Vertical
Okay.
separators.
And it must be that one, right? So yeah, and that's a list browser tag. So this goes down here. Let's set this to false. The other one we had when we defined the columns is actually if you have like a headers for the columns, and then this will show if you have separators up there. You can specify them separately. So now we don't have any, and we still have this. And well, let's make a function that can add these commits and and then just add a bit more. So let's make a function that says insert commit, and then let's say it should take the list. So it should take these lists, and then maybe only the text. So in this case, commit A and nothing else. Let's make a function that's something like this. Just copying this for now, and then just deleting the part we don't want. And if we go up here somewhere, like here, and say void, then we need to have a struct node do this. Instead of the commit text here, we say commit text, put that in, just leave the other things. And we have the commit list that should now be a pointer. So we have a struct list and a pointer to that. And over here we want to have a string pointer to called commit text. So let's have this one up there. And then of course we shouldn't take a pointer to something that is already a pointer. So remove that one down there. So now this will create the node and insert it into the list. Perfect. Let's crudely add a couple more. Just do that and test it out, and then we have commit A, B, and C. So we have something to play with. Now for drawing these lines over here, that would be really nice. And obviously a standard list here cannot show anything like graphics in it or stuff like that. However, there is a way around that because you can have, and let's see, it should be in the node. Oh, we have way down here. Sorry. There is a render hook that you can specify for each column in a node, so node and column. So when we create the column up here and create the first column, we could specify, oh, that's the wrong one I copied. We could specify this one, a render hook. By the way this works is that first you specify which column you want to make it changes to, and then the ones with a C in relates to that column, and then when you say column 1, then the ones with the C in relates to the column, the last specified column. And so this is how it works. There are also some without the C exact column here specifically, but there are a few others that also specify on more generally. If the node is selected, you can set some flag. You can even set some user data that's just pointing to some data of your own. The column that specifies the column for, as we saw just before, and then of course there's all these ways to do things, and there's there's different ways to do this graphic out in the site there. We could make an image and just say that this is the image you wanted to draw. But then you would have to make your image yourself and make sure that has the info. And the other way to do it is what we're trying to do here is to have this render hook, and then we let's call it commit lines hook. So we need this. In order for this to work, we need to have this hook so we can specify it, and in order to do that, you need to of course have it either in here, but now let's make a global function for this and say commit line. Yeah. Oh, sorry, that's just up there. So now we are specifying it. It's but it needs to be set up, of course. So let's go down somewhere. It doesn't really matter. We have given the pointer to it already. So we just need to set it up, and then yeah, we need I need to see how this actually looks. That's it's going to grab something from over here. So if we look how actually the first thing we need to have is a function. So let's copy this one. It's actually not the one we're going to use, but let's copy it anyway, and then have it defined here. And then we can say commit line entry, and it takes still things. It's standard. Every hook works this way, so it doesn't matter which hook we took, just this is the hook. And we have to find a function. And the other thing we did with the hook over here was to set it up. So this is a hook structure, and then you set these three fields. Actually, you don't need to set the data, so let's make it a little bit simpler. We have here let's copy this away and then just do some insert like this. This is actually also part of the text edit that you can like make rectangular sections and replacements, and yeah, so that's very nice. Do this one and specify this one here, and for data we'll just say null for now. So what we have done is we have set up a hook. This is a struct called a hook that we're giving into when we define the nodes. So this is how it knows what to call in order to render these lines to the side. We have specified how the hook is. It has an entry, and this follows the assembly code convention. You may want to have this calling a C function convention, or you can just implement it directly. The reason if you have assembly code, you can actually, this is what will be called, and you could have like a small stop here that actually calls your C version of it. But since we can in C++, sorry, in SSC, define that this function takes arguments on the registers directly, we don't have to do all these sorts of things. So now in order to actually draw something in here, which would be of course very nice, we need to call some functions, graphic functions. And in order to have the graphic functions, we need to have the prototypes for those. So I believe it's graphics. I'm not actually quite sure if it's GFX. So, but let's say we have this one, and it needs a RAS port, and then it needs a position, and then draw also needs a RAS port, and it also needs a position. So now we have actually drawn something. Of course, we don't have the RAS port, and these numbers are not correct. So where to draw to and which location to draw to? Well, let's again go back to this browser header file and see. So there are all sorts of actually these are messages. Let's find those. It's actually somewhere. Draw message. Yeah. So this is the one. Yeah. So and the objects that we also get in, as it says, we get a pointer to the hook, pointer to an object, and the message. So message is the one we see here. So we could spare ourselves a little casting and just say instead of this, it is actually I think there is G missing there. Yeah. So this is it. Let's actually just copy most of that over just to see. And so we should actually test that method ID is this. So let's say if message pointer this one probably is not LV draw. Let's just return and return a value. So let's just return 0. That's nice. Now we don't have any use for this part anymore. And the RAS port is also here. As you can see, it's pointed to the RAS port. So very simple. Just paste this one in here. Of course, we need to have it. It comes from the message. So need to have this as well. What did I do there? Paste like this. So we now have the RAS port. Draw info would be of course nice if we wanted to use text colors and these other colors, but for what we're doing here with the Git, we want to have these with specific colors. So text colors and selected colors and these things are probably not so useful for us. So let's just not draw any of that. State would probably be nice to know because we are responsible now for actually, and then that's the reason for having the draw info, but we would be responsible for drawing it in selected or not selected state. So, but let's make it simple for now, and then just have this bounce here. So let's copy this and just say once more message and bounce, and then has a min x. And I think I lost either your sound or everything again. I don't know if you're still with me or not.
Yeah, we're here. We're muted.
Okay,
Looks like
perfect.
the pointer dereference on message on the move and draw
Uh,
statement.
say
On the
again. Yeah.
The first one though, that you copied in earlier.
Oh, we're missing here. Yes. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Uh, still complaining about LV draw. That's not defined. So that's pretty bad. Left underscore draw. Oh, LB. There's a bug. Oh, sorry. Spelling mistake in the header file. List browser draw. That makes a lot more sense. Perfect. Now we're running. And let's hope things don't crash. Oh, don't. See, so now we draw a line from top left to bottom right. So we have drawn these lines. So we have actually created our own graphics here. And now, of course, the really tough part, which has not really anything to do with Amiga and UI, would be able to make these lines crawl in and out with arrows and stuff depending on the commit history. So let's not do this here. It will be quite a lot of work to get this correct. However, the idea is clear that we can draw something here that will look like that, and we can even use colors if that's what we want. We have made the buttons up here. We also put something down here for now with nothing in it. I don't think we have time to actually make it a click tab gadget, but the idea is sort of the same. You create a click tab, open the click tab library, and then you make an object that is a click tab, and then you add the tabs, and inside you for example add a list browser or something else or another layout, and then you can tap between them, and the effect of course will be exactly the same as we have here, where it's so same sort of idea. For the buttons in the top, there's also called something like speed buttons, where it's one large gadget that just has some sub images, and you can use those, and you can define them to have, so they actually look sort of like buttons and are grouped. In this case, I've asked them to not have buttons, so it becomes a little lighter to look at. But yeah, so you could do that for the buttons on top instead of having real buttons. You will not be able to have it one huge speed bar at the top, because as you can see, it will probably be a good idea to have choosers, which is called in Amiga. This is a chooser. So, and this cannot be inside a speed bar, but this, for example, these three buttons, if we were to replicate exactly how this looks, so this could actually be a speed button, and this could be some other button. We probably will need a refresh button anyway, and then we could have this chooser and another chooser, and that's the idea. And in order to add menus to your window, it's actually quite simple. You just define, new menu, the get tools, old struct. So you still define something like this. Now, of course, this I cannot just copy it over, so we cannot try it out quickly. Actually, maybe we could. Let's go back to our code. So if we were to really quickly make a single title and then just give it text, call it our menu, give it nothing else, and then I believe at the bottom you need to have this end. Let's just call this. So this the this should be our menu, and then when you create the window, you can just say DA new menu copy and give it that struct. You don't even have to call all this function to set things up. You can just give it the struct and directly. Of course, in order to do that, you actually do need the get tools header files. So let's just quickly get those in as well, just to make it compile. Oh, it's also actually not VA, it's Windows. Yeah, there's no reference to that one. Let's see. Yeah. Declaration expected. Uh-huh. Build, running, and then our menu. Of course, we have no items in it, but we did make our menu, so it's pretty fast to put a menu in as well. And the way you find the menu is sort of the same the way when you find that you are close to menu, you make a new case for menu, and then from the other part of the result, then you say menu mask, and then you can find out which menu item was actually clicked, and then you can do uh, whatever you want based on the menu that was selected. So I think I will stop just around here, but within 1.5 hours from when we started, we actually were able to make this window with all these things in it, and something that could be a real menu one day, and we could select these things. Something broke. Don't know what, but yeah. So yeah, we could go on, and obviously, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe next year I can come back and show how far this has come, or maybe
Yeah.
people can just follow along and yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back next year and see where you're at. You covered a lot of ground today. I found this to be very fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got heads nodding in the audience here. People are saying that they really enjoyed this. So no, thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much, Camilla.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. All right. Does anyone have any other comments before we close the stream? No? All right. Our lunch should be here pretty soon. So thanks again, Camilla, and we'll see you around.
Yeah. Bye then.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
You can log in and watch the rest this afternoon.
I will watch everything. Don't worry.
right. So, let's come to here.
Now, on table.
It says 3 people watching now. Started streaming 3 hours ago. There you are.
Yes.
I can see you, Jerry.
Hi. Hi, Michael. I can see you too.
Me? Is my webcam on?
No, I can see you.
No, I'm talking through YouTube.
Yeah.
See, YouTube has you in all your glory.
Is there anything on the events yet? I can't tell.
That's what I live for.
Glory.
Yes, that's the glory of being on YouTube. So,
He's a rock star now.
all right, so let's see here. Just to catch the people on YouTube up, we're running a little bit behind because I'm not ready. In my mind, we're going to bring Sam on today, and it's actually me today. So I'm getting my notes set up on a laptop here so that I don't have to switch around a whole bunch. To catch you up, we're going to be running on emulation today because that makes it so much easier to stream than trying to get my 500 to come up and run.
I don't know what to tell you.
Let's see
That's
here.
all right. It's no big deal. I'll take that back to the house and I'll figure something out.
Ellie, is that a RX 560 or what's in the?
On this one?
Hmm?
It's an RX 5 something or other.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me see what Ranger says. Ranger says nothing useful. It just says RX Polaris 11. I think it's a 560. I posted it somewhere on a forum.
Could be a
at some point.
60 or a 50.
Audio was on.
I believe it is.
Oh, sorry. I'll be quiet.
If not, then people are seeing my lips move and
Are we covering Amy Blitz 2 or 3 today?
chew.
Okay. Because I did try to get Amy Blitz 3 working on the X5000. It works. You just have to ignore a DSI at the beginning.
YouTube is claiming the network stream is excellent now, says Bill.
Oh, well,
He says he hears you.
okay. Well, I did ask the hotel to look into it. Last I checked, they were waiting to hear back from the provider. Maybe they unclogged the drain in the meantime while we were at lunch. That would be a fantastic turn of events. So let's see here. I think we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a second. Let me pull up one more file on this machine. Okay.
What does DK do with the chipset? Isn't DK 5 and 4 and 5?
Totally different, Michael.
They
5 is totally different than 4.
they were able to use RTG screens, but the RTG. Actually, you know what? Could they use RTG or could they just use screen modes?
Use AGA.
So what?
The last thing used AGA.
It used AGA, and if I recall correctly, the last version used screen mode. So if you emulated a classic screen, it would run on the hardware, I think.
Type it in and look at the listing.
All I know is I would love to be able to find somebody who could help us do some sort of amazing hack to get DPIMP running on the NG operating systems. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really love personal paint, but I mean,
Deluxe paint is a lot
Deluxe paint is deluxe paint.
a lot better than personal paint.
Deluxe Paint was the application when the 1000 the A1000 came out.
And the 500.
No, because
No, I mean, Deluxe paint, 3 and 2.
well, what was called the killer application in the Amiga, the killer application was Dog's Pain.
When they came out of OS updates, they actually coded into the OS things to allow DPaint to keep working because it was pounding hardware.
Yeah. And it was also an animation program as well.
That was later, like
Later,
Paint
yeah.
3.
He came 3 or 4. Yeah.
And then,
Okay, so according to Wikipedia,
so,
DPaint 4.5 supported AGA. The final release, DPaint 5 in 1995, supported true 24-bit RGB images, but it was only using AGA native chipset. The 24-bit RGB color was only held in the computer memory. The on-screen image still was indexed color.
There was no RGB support there. I think that's where Bristol Paint is a little better nowadays.
Well, I also have to say that I actually kind of like Personal Paint's quirky interface now. I didn't in the beginning, but I've been using it now for like 4 years since Andy did all this stuff,
So, yeah.
and it's very fast and it's actually really good. The thing that I don't like about it is,
The graphic.
no, the constant having to mess around with screen modes every time you want to load a large image.
did you write Sketchbook? Did you try Sketchbook?
Oh yeah. But that's a whole other thing. I'm not gonna use Sketchbook to create pixel art.
Okay, yeah.
Bill says,
Do any of us try, has anybody tried animation?
With Personal Paint? Yeah, you can do animation very easily with Personal Paint.
actually, and it has a light box mode, so you can have the previous frame ghosted in and draw the next frame. And then you can go to the
But-
next frame and it goes to previous frames. So you
I
can
have-
kind of like, you can see what you're doing.
I have a really old version of Prepaid, but I was thinking about getting it for the 5,000. I just haven't tried it yet.
It's very good.
But
but-
5,000, you have to run it on UAE.
No, you don't.
DPaint?
No, I thought you were talking about Personal Paint.
No, Prepaid.
Oh, P-Paint.
No, it's
Oh, yeah, I don't
native.
know.
It's OS for native. But I will say this: if you want to get,
Isn't there a version for the 5,000?
yes, there is.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
get the most out of it, though,
Or read from BBC?
you really need to learn its Rex interface. You really do, because particularly if you're going to do animation. Because with all due respect to the interface, it's much easier to set up exactly what I want as far as keyframes and all that fun stuff in a text file with a script. At least it is for me, than that dialog box.
That's a really old-fashioned way of doing it.
It works great. The other thing also to keep in mind is you've got an X5000, right? Remember Wildfire?
Mhm.
Runs a treat.
It does?
It does.
I have one.
No problems at all.
You talking about Wildfire, the video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can create those little Yaffa things if you wanted to. Sure.
Really?
It works.
I'll try it tonight.
Works a treat.
I got it, so I'll try it tonight.
At least it does on mine.
Pardon?
I said it does on mine. I can't guarantee it's going to do on anybody else's, but
You're
On the
fine with
5,000
me,
or
Barry.
the 1222?
it does not work on. It does not work on the 1222.
Conference may set during travel.
Doesn't have the process.
But doesn't. I don't think that matters. The problem with the 1222 is the kernel isn't nearly as robust. So you hit a lot of kernel bugs on the 1222 because a lot of the optimized for Tabor stuff is broken. Nobody has touched that stuff in like 2 years.
They haven't done anything to fix the 68K stuff.
No, they have, and that was solely. If it wasn't for him, we still have
So
like
you
half the
can-
68K stuff broken.
So AREX runs now?
AREX runs. It did. Let me put it this way: it did run. I'm now updating to the latest kernel.
Bill Bossari is actually suggesting Pixie.
That doesn't work anywhere.
It worked on my 5,000.
How? I have never gotten it to work.
Yeah, nor is Bill.
Bill came up to my table and said, "Can I try Pixie on your 5,000?" I said, "Sure," and tried it and it worked.
Because Pixie looks so awesome, and yet I can't even get it to run. I can't bring up I can't bring up anything. It just dies during startup.
At the time, I was using my user 5,000 setup, not my beta setup.
Okay.
So I didn't have the latest beta components. So it may have been the version I had.
Huh. That's a new one on me.
Alrighty.
No, actually, he saw me running it.
I believe
He
you.
asked me to run it.
I would love it if it worked on my
Sure,
machine.
silver light on the screen. Jerry.
There we go. It's a ghost. All right, I think I'm about as prepared as I can be. Thanks for for bearing with me on that. Let me make sure. Have we got the?
Did you ever turn off the center light for you?
Let me.
Your screen is way behind your.
I know. I can't fix that.
Do you want me to turn the outside lights off or the center lights?
I've been turning off the ones in front of the screen. So it's the center one, I believe. All right.
Is that okay?
Yes. All right. So, following Camilla is going to be hard. She is she's a top-notch developer. A little bit about my background is I used to be a developer. I've been in management for 13 years, where I've done very little with production code. But I got my start, like so many of us, back in the early 80s, or some before, some a little later. Had a VIC-20, Commodore 64, and I would pound around on them and do some programming, but never really did a complete product kind of a deal. So as I got into the Amiga, which I joined the club around 2017, stumbled in there when I was looking for a machine online on eBay, and one of the club members was selling stuff out of the abyss. So he said, well, why don't you come to the club? And I said, there's a club? And sure enough, been coming ever since. So one of the things I was thinking would be cool to learn a little bit more about the Amiga would be to do some programming on it, learn a little bit more about what things like coppers and blitters do, but was not quite ready to jump into like full bore assembly language to really stroke the machinery at the hardware level. Looked around and I thought, well, did basic back on the Commodore 64, might as well continue the trend, do some basic on the Amiga. Was happy to find Blitz Basic to see it was a compiled language, so that you get a little bit of a speed boost compared to the old interpretive versions of Basic. So I started playing around with some sample programs. One of them that I typed in, just like the good old days, typing out a magazine was a breakout, brick breaker type of a program. Very, very, very rudimentary, obviously. Total a page and a half of code. So I kind of like that, dug into it, and enhanced it quite a bit. So what I thought I'd do today, not claiming to be a Blitz Basic expert, but I can take you through at a high level some of the things that I learned working with Blitz, and a little bit about what I've learned about general game development. It's one of those things that is really not, like many things, it's really not that difficult when you get into it, the basics. Obviously, you can dig into some pretty sophisticated stuff on specific use cases, but just the logic to get a game up and running is pretty straightforward. So, this game that I made, it has a high score screen, can record high scores. These are some of the things I added to it that it didn't have it originally. I drive it, instead of things being hard coded in there, I drive things off of a data file, with the idea that eventually if someone could create their own data file, create their own screens on this, or maybe even go as far as creating some sort of editor so that any user could come and create what I'm calling a world in this game. This one uses no sprites, so this uses all Blitz Basic blitter commands to move pixels around. So I've got my own collision detection in there that's seems to work pretty well. So all the graphics are shape files. Like I said, no sprites. I wanted some old school beeps and boops, so I use the sound routines to generate some sound files. And it can play mod files for background music. So if I can just take one moment to pause, I'm going to check with the hotel on something here.
You want to check?
that's okay.
Oh, so far it seems to be okay.
We can do a speed check.
Okay.
All right, I'm back. We had some internet issues this morning, and we're thinking that those might be getting resolved. I'm going to do a quick test here of our internet. If you were in this morning, you saw we did drop a few times. So, so we're getting 20 down right now, which is better than the 4 we were getting this morning. All right, we're doing better. Although with fiber, I would expect this thing to go to 100. Yeah. Oh, my upload speed. Oh, it spiked up at 50. It's coming down now. It should be enough to keep us online.
Do you know how much you need for the arm to stay online?
I think that for 1080p, we need a steady 7 to 8 up, and this is getting a 16 up right now. So we're a lot better.
Okay,
If it stays this good, I think we're good through the weekend.
okay. All righty, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
All right. And to our online audience, thanks for sitting through the hotel debugging process. So I was going through some of the things I'd added. It plays mod file for background music. I chose Blitz Basic 2 specifically because my understanding is 3 add some enhancements for AGA chipset and so forth. And I was just interested in targeting just a base, maybe Amiga 500. Didn't want to tackle any AGA stuff with this at this time. Plus, arguably, I'm not a graphics artist. This is a brick breaker program. I chose a 5-bit plane palette for 32 colors, and I probably am only using like 7. So, but if I ever do get hooked up with a graphic artist who wants to beef this up a little bit, I'd be happy to throw their art in there. So let's see here. That's kind of the intro spiel. So let me switch over to my emulator. Sharing a window. There it goes. Oh, excuse me. So here's my this is just I believe it's a 3.1 or 3.14 I think this might be 3.1 actually desktop. Had Blitz 2 installed. There's a link to it in the DevCon notes. I hunted around for a little bit. Found the community had made this fantastic installer package for Blitz Basic 2 that's got everything in there. So that made that real easy. And then I used Deluxe Paint 4 for the graphics. So you can see in the comments here, this started out as me just typing in the Blitz out sample from Roy Ferguson on Amiga format. Don't know if Roy's around. He's probably not watching today, but I figured throw him out the kudos and the credit for getting me started. Even though I've enhanced it a lot, I'm still using his basic logic on collision detection and his basic physics on redirecting the ball direction when it hits the paddle at the bottom. That's about all that's remaining of his code at this point, but it was a great inspiration and got me going. Some things about Blitz Basic is it has this Blitz mode and it's got an Amiga mode. So when you're doing like disk operations, you have to be in the Amiga mode to like read a text file and write a text file and do some stuff like that. When you're using the blitter command, it needs to be in the blitz mode. So it bounces around a bit as we go through the different routines.
It's like the media mode is like going through the library using the operating system.
Yeah,
This one is like hitting hardware or something.
exactly. Yeah. If you're hitting that's a good way to say it. If you're hitting operating system libraries, you got to be in that Amiga mode. So I've got some variables defined. Don't want to spend a lot of time up here when I get down to the code, but a lot of what I call global variables up here to control some of the screen, the building the bricks on the screen, sound effects volume, the menu option counter for when you're scrolling through a menu, what have you. So let's actually do we want to take a quick look at it before we get too far into the code? I will warn you, this runs most of the time. There's some memory error where sometimes the compile and run just won't compile and run. But okay. So haven't put a lot of work into the art on the screen here. It'd be great to have something better there. It's using the joystick right now to control the selector, and I've got the joystick mapped to keyboard on emulation, so it's just I can go around and select different things here. So let's see here. I think I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit so I'm not yelling too fast. So there's the leaderboard. Once again, pretty rustic on the leaderboard right now. I do have a couple of different easy leaderboards. It's hard to tell the difference. Like the first name, Isaac Hard, easy, hard C, easy C. I've got actually 4 difficulty levels defined in there. One of my thoughts was, since I run the game competition here, sometimes the games don't translate well for a competition, especially if you're going to do it online, because there's a lot of things that people can tweak and stuff on the game as far as like maybe extra lives or continues or different stuff. So I wanted to put in some like competition difficulties, if you will, that would like lock everything down.
So the
If
hard
you're gonna-
mode is the hard mode, and you have a set of top scores for that.
Yeah.
And one for the easy skip mode. And one
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, I'm probably gonna drop code. I had this, you know how some games have like a code to continue where you left off? I was thinking about maybe something like that with this, but after I thought about it a little bit, it just didn't make sense for this kind of a game. There is no about screen. And then I've got some basic options. So instead of having a code to start on a particular level, I was thinking, I can just in the options let you pick a level to start on. A name, your sound effects volumes, your difficulty level, that kind of stuff. So that's about it for that. Now let's see if it's going to crash. And it crashed. Hey,
Hey, now we can
Called
see how
it.
the debugger works.
So let's see here.
I mean, does it tell you like at least where?
Yeah, that's not there.
Yeah, it's on this copy bitmap here. Let's see here.
Possible something that wasn't initiated or something.
Well, I don't know. It's got to be something to do with my logic flow, I would think, where sometimes it works or doesn't. Or I'm thinking maybe there's a problem with just there's only so much memory available in the Amiga, and maybe when I'm loading these like large mod files or different things, it's fragmenting memory and I don't have a contiguous block for the bitmap. So I might need to get a little more in tune with my memory
Well,
management.
how would that work with the UAE?
Hmm.
That wouldn't have the same memory map.
Well, no, but inside of UAE, you'll have a memory map. Because you're emulating an Amiga chip, so.
Not RAM.
Yeah.
It uses more RAM. UAE uses as much RAM as you.
Yeah, and you could do that,
Uh-huh.
Jerry,
Yeah.
set UAE's RAM up to some phenomenal amount.
Right. I'm not clear if this is confined to chip RAM or if it can run in all RAM. So
In the case of UAE, it's all RAM. It's all the same.
It is on the PC side, but inside
Mm.
the Amiga, it's going to be emulating chip RAM and system RAM.
Yeah, there's two types.
So this is the gameplay. And I do have it using a mouse now for the controlling the bat, and the mouse button will launch the ball.
Can you make the ball spin?
Can I make the ball spin? I probably could. That would it'd be pretty simple. I just have to draw the frames of the animated ball.
No. I mean, there used to be a trick with the old breakout game.
Oh.
You flick the thing when it hit.
Oh no, I don't have that kind of physics built into this. But you.
do have kind of two ways of hitting the ball. There's an edge that's good.
Yeah. The way the physics works is it does take into account where on the paddle the ball hits and its current angle, and will adjust that.
It does seem
More
to
or
go
less.
faster when it's on the horizontal.
Well, yeah, it does. So then once you clear the level, next one comes up, and so forth. I've got 4 levels defined right now that it can play. Right now, it gives you an extra ball when you go up a level. You might notice it changed the background mod file that it plays, and that's all driven by the data file. And the screen right now is generated kind of algorithmically, so I can tell it, go so many rows down. I can tell it to use every row or skip rows. I can tell it to skip columns, get more like a checkerboard kind of effect. So that's what some of those variables at the front are. It reads those in, and it'll.
I mean, can you walk us through that setup exactly?
Oh yeah. We'll get there. So yeah, I think that's probably all we need to look at
So
here.
the layout of the bricks is random or in your data file?
So the pattern you see will be the same every time because the parameters will be the same for every level. It does pick random brick pattern, like the hard or the P or the little YouTube thing. It'll pick the actual brick graphic randomly when it builds a screen. Oh, that looks like it crashed again.
So you just lost because it's lost.
Oh, I did. Okay. There we go. I was trying to lose. I was talking and losing at the same time. Very-
You're talking and not playing.
So.
So have you gotten to the point where you write an icon for it that you can just double click?
It's not a custom icon, but yeah, there is an icon that you can click and launch from. And I have gotten to the point where I can take this, put it on like an ADF, move it to my 500, and play it there with all the same bugs.
Okay.
Is your laptop Jerry, RAM-based or chip-based?
I'm not sure I follow.
Okay, usually RAM is usually for games. Chip is for graphics.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's what we were talking about earlier. Is well, the way Blitz works, I'm not sure which one it is.
Is it listed in that?
Oh,
I mean, we- Pardon?
You can't set memory uses for anything?
I think that different commands use different memory on this, if I remember correctly.
What does this use?
Don't know, Kenny. We'll have to look it up later. So, anyways, in general, with a game, you have a loop or a nested loop that runs it. You'll have this game has an outer loop that basically runs through all the menuing options, and then when you start the game, it starts an internal game loop, if you will. And with Blitz Basic, you cannot call. They call them statements. Like I think of them as subroutines. You cannot call a subroutine unless it's been defined ahead of the calling area in the code. So it always seems like you're traveling your code backwards because you're always calling routines that have been defined ahead of time in the source code. So.
Is that the way basic work? I can't
Well,
remember.
Well, I can't remember exactly. I remember way back in college there were languages that worked that way because they're
Yeah.
basically like
Can't you do a go-to?
yeah.
Are they numbered lines?
I know some programs where.
Not in this one.
Some work forward.
This one has the concept of the labels. So anyways, I set up some bitmaps for the screens. I've been trying to switch this over to double buffering, which I think is mostly working. Although when I was reviewing this last week before the show, I saw a statement where it's like, I'm not sure I quite did that right, but we can get into that later. Like I said, everything's done with a blitter moving bits. So the kubelet command is what I use to move the ball around, and there's a lot of modes for that. The cookie mode is basically just saying take whatever the shape is and stick it on there, kind of like cookie cutter. It has other modes that'll do different effects, like it'll just like black out whatever the shape is. It'll just like black that area out on the screen, or like do like a reverse video kind of effect or different stuff. But I wasn't needing any of those kinds of features.
Make a little boing ball.
Pardon?
Make a little boing ball.
Yeah. So I do just some housekeeping to prepare the screen. Just basically get the screen set up. The generate sounds was one that I kind of enjoyed doing. Let's see if we can find that. It's more towards the top. There we go. So Blitz has this concept of sounds, and you can see I'm setting up 3 different sounds, and there's a length of the sound. I believe that's like in milliseconds. I think that's just like a second. And then I'm gonna set sound data. I'm gonna kind of like poke sound data right into this sound object. So I've got the value that I'm gonna poke into there. I got an incrementer, and then it wants the pitch. So you can see it's got this init sound to create that sound object. You assign it a number, like so many things in BASIC. You give it a number. I'm gonna make 4 different sounds because I figured I'd want a different sound for like when you're navigating the menu compared to when the ball hits the bat or the bat hits the wall or what have you. So then you give the length and the pitch, and then I do this inner loop that I think I'm doing like a sawtooth wave from back in the 8-bit days, where I take that value and just go from 90 up to 120, and then I drop it back down to 90, up to 120, down for that seconds worth of sound.
It's like a volume? Is the value a volume?
I think it's the pitch.
The pitch is the pitching is 200.
I think what we're doing, like, you know, when you like listen to music and they show you the little sound wave of the music,
Yeah.
you're manually creating the sound wave
Oh, I see.
by pushing data into that object 1 data point at a time.
That's in the dynamics, it would be the volume, because the volume goes up and down in the wave.
Mhm.
And that gives you a dynamic which gives you some tension.
Okay.
in your ears.
Yeah.
So it's working that way. So it does sound like it's a volume setting.
I guess I guess you could think of it that way. Yeah. I mean, when I was doing some different algorithms in here, I could get some like right now it just goes beep beep, but I had some stuff that was like grungy sounding and what have you.
You should make a wrapper for this routine that just simply lets you type in what the values are. And you can just play it, play the sound. Play the sound.
Yeah.
Play the sound.
Yeah.
That way you can like tweak the settings you like and know which numbers are the ones that.
Yeah. So anyways, that makes the 4 little beep sounds that we'll play. Let's see here. And then from there we load the world, and this is the data file I was talking about earlier. So let's see here. Because we're not got the mouse trapped. Let's do a stop share. And let's go back. I wanted to just real quick show. I'm gonna have this up. So just real quick, this is the data file I keep referring to. So it's got a world name, and then it will have repeating values. We've got a level number, the name of the level, and then some paths for the mod file you want to play, the background level graphic. I also have the bat and the ball as a shapefile and the bricks as a shapefile, thinking that if you wanted to create your own custom graphics, you could create them and stick them in there as long as they follow the same basic, parameters of the sizes that it's expecting. I'm not dynamically, interrogating the sizes out of these things. It's not that quite that sophisticated. And then I've just got some different values in here that have to go. I'd have to look at the. I see. I think I have them in my notes here. Each of these represents like the spacing of the horizontal and the vertical, or the rows and columns. I believe one of these represents like the total number of bricks and something else. For future expansion, this array down here is something I put in so that you could basically manually just create a level by plugging, either plugging like just I wasn't sure if I want to do like 0, 1, like binary, like there's a brick here, not a brick here, or get it to the point where you can say, this is the exact brick that I want here. So this is brick number 2, brick number 8, and like create a whole custom design. Don't have that working or coded up yet to I read that in, but I don't do anything with it. It just does the generated fields. And then you can see it just continues on. Then this is the second level, and then the third level, and then that's all we got. So I just solved one of my bugs because I thought I had 4 levels in this file and I've only got 3. So
Want to get away from it?
yeah, you're up having fun coding, drinking beer, weird stuff happens.
Wrong number in.
Let's see here. So let's.
Then you read that file in and parse the data.
So we'll take. It might be good to take a quick look up. So there's the load world routine, but let's go a little bit higher. Different languages have different ways of creating your own kind of data types or structures or what have you. And in Blitz, we have this new type concept, and I'm creating a level type. And you'll see this right here, all these, this is our documentation. All those mystery numbers you just saw, they're right here. So level number, level name, mod tune path, the path. The generated, which is really a flag, whether it's generated or to use those parameters, or to use that array that I'm not using just yet. Column offset, row offset, column count, row count, column spacing, row spacing, and then that array of data. So
like B is binary or something? Number?
that's a byte.
Byte.
A byte, and the S is a string, and the $sign is string too. I probably use them interchangeably because different days.
It means the same thing.
Yeah, B is bytes. You have bytes, and you can have longs, and you can have words. I believe it is.
So that's where you define the variable type.
So the dot S is the variable type.
So
Dot
then
word.
when you refer to the variable, you just say world underscore name, but
Yeah.
you define it as world underscore
Yeah.
name dot S.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, the dot is just so that's why when you do your new type, dot level, that's your data type is a dot level. So, and then I've got a list of levels here, 99 levels, and it's of type level. So we define this up above as a type, and then we have
So you hard coded it to have 99 levels, although you're only loading 3.
right. Seemed like a good number at the time.
Memory's an issue. Maybe you change that number down to 9.
Maybe, but it'll be empty. The rest of it will be empty.
Well, no, but now you've got 96 empty levels, right?
Right.
Instead of having just 6 empty levels. Does it allocate the memory for all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm unclear if that's
Yeah.
pre-allocated or if it's more like a linked list internally. I don't know. But to load the world, the Q Amiga here, that's what takes us back to that Amiga mode so we can do those OS commands. They also have this, a lot of languages have this too. It's a little shortcut where you don't have to like type as much basically. So with this use path levels, when I access the levels array, I don't have to type levels anymore. That's what all these little slashes are here, /number, /name, /modtune. When you set the use path, then that slash becomes your levels there. And you can do that with other well, I guess you mainly do it with the lists. That's where I see it used mostly. So then anyways, just do a read file. And I generate the path to the data file there. I concatenate basically a constant from up above with the file name, and then not in the file, just load that level data, and then of course close it at the end. Go back to blitz mode.
So when you're in the Amiga OS mode, you could write a program that uses multitasks in the operating system and all that.
Yeah. Yep.
But when you're in blitz mode, it was take over.
Yeah, I think when blitz mode, it wants to be, it takes. I do think it takes over because it's expecting. I think it's expecting exclusive control of the blitter.
So multitasking stops.
Good question.
It looks like you can change it on the fly or within your whole, you don't have one of those little program, you can change it anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere you would need to change it, you can just change it. Let's go back down to where we were. So we've just launched the program. So it does the background music, and it goes into that first loop, which was that menu we saw where you could choose to start the game or go into the high scores or the options. And if you choose game, that's where it will called a game loop. So if we scroll up a little bit, like the leaderboards and the options code is up here. Not much to the leaderboard and options code. It's very much similar to what you just saw with starting it up, where it just brings up another screen. It's got another menu. It can select different things to do from those menus. So let's see here. So then we got our game loop, and as you know, from that load world, we've got the level data. So we've got a load level routine here. Let's see. Let's go look at that real quick. Collisions, print stuff. I think I went right past it, didn't I? There we go. Load level. So back into the Amiga mode, because we're gonna use that level data to put our background bitmap for that level up. I copy the bitmap so that I can use the fresh version to do repairs. Since I'm just moving bits around, like when a brick gets hit, I've got to replace it with something. So I use the fresh one, copy that over.
Bill said he's trying to get warnings.
Oh,
I don't know what that means. Bandwidth.
could be. And then we load the shape files for the bat ball and bricks, and load our music. Go back into blitz mode. Create a slice. My understanding is that for us to use the blitter to on the screen, we got to create this concept of a slice, which has a slice number. It starts on scan line 44, which is kind of a magic number they recommended for making sure that your monitor's visible, your scan line on your monitor is visible, and then 5-bit planes.
Where's this document?
Let's see here. Let's see here. Let me.
I'm just surprised that it's indexing scan lines. Is this a normal thing for 68K machines? That seems a little low level.
Well, yeah. When you're dealing with a game, the scan lines are kind of important. You wanna do all your game logic within one screen refresh, ideally.
Also, you're driving the blitter when you do this, right?
Yeah.
So you're essentially setting up the programming of the blitter, right?
So come on.
It's old school.
No kidding.
So let's see here. We're looking
Welcome back
for.
to Vic 20.
Oh, come on. It's taking a while to get this thing loaded. So we're looking for slices. There's the slice, 19.3. Where are we at?
Does it compile for OS4? Or is it just 3-bit 3.1 that you can run under emulation or under?
I assume it's all under emulation. I don't know that Blitz compiles natively to 4.
Did anybody try any of the Blitz games that they want? I haven't, but I don't do games very often.
So here's the documentation on slices. Slices are Blitz 2 objects, which are at the heart of Blitz mode. Blitz mode's powerful graphic system. Through the use of slices, many weird and wonderful graphical effects can be achieved. Effects not normally possible in Amiga mode. This includes things such as dual playfield displays, smooth scrolling, double buffering, and more.
And this PDF is part of the distribution, yes?
Yes. Yep. This is all in there. So it's Blitz mode's main feature is its flexible control over the Amiga display. This control is achieved through the use of slices. Slices may be thought of as a description of the appearance of a rectangular area of the Amiga's display. This description includes display mode, color palette, sprite, and bit plane information. More than one slice may be set up at a time, allowing different areas of the display to take on different properties. But there are some limitations. Slices may not overlap, must not be positioned horizontally beside each other, must be on top of each other. When you specify an area for a slice, you only have control over the slice's vertical position, its width and height. Slice's horizontal starting position will be automatically calculated. So they go and throw all that, and then they kind of get here and say, "We're not going to tell you really how it works." That's the magic of Blitz, is how it works. So, and they give some examples down here. So that's the docs on a slice.
When was the last time Blitz was updated?
Well, I think that there's Blitz 3. I don't know if it's currently being updated or if they're just continuing to keep the old stuff alive. But for Blitz 3, I've seen where they can do PC-based development and like cross-compile it. I'm not quite sure how that works. Really haven't gotten into Blitz 3 that much, but I don't know if there's anything beyond that really.
Just maintaining bugs or something. Just maintenance of what it is.
I don't even know. I don't even know if it's even actively maintained right now. Yeah, I haven't really looked into it. I figured once I'm done playing with this, I probably won't do much with Blitz after this. But who knows? Maybe I will.
Well, now you have a whole new way to program stuff in C.
Yeah, I've never been C friendly myself, which is why I chose Basic here. I actually enjoy assembly more than I do C.
Okay.
Let's see here. We were in our game loop. Where's our game loop at? There we go. Back to the game. Oh, no, that's the main. So, leaderboards farther up for the game loop. I'm going to go up and down real quick so the people online can get a little buzz out of the scrolling. There we go. So I believe we'd gone off on low level there, right? Setup game defaults is housekeeping. That's not much interest there. The generate playfield, that might be fun to look at. That's the routine that uses those parameters to build the brick pattern. Let's see here. We went way too far. Load world. Sound transcript. Oh. Generate playfield. So there we go. So basically we've got the rows and columns in that data file that are going to control the number of loops we do here. And then, well, I should say, yeah, it'll control these inner and outer loops. And then the row spacing variables will say if we're like skipping that row or column when we're building this playfield up. And then if we're not in a valid row or column, we're just putting zeros out. But if we are in a place where we can put a brick, then we will say, yeah, we placed a brick. We keep a brick count so that we can tell when we hit them all. And then we've got 10 shapes. So this is where we pick our random shape that we're going to put up there. And then I have to add 2 because it's an offset. If I did my shapes properly, I wouldn't have an offset at the top, but I do for this right now. So
In the harder modes, do the bricks come down closer and closer to the?
Bricks do not move at this point.
Oh,
I've thought about that, but that's not something that I'm ready to put into it. I think if the next enhancement I'd like to do is more like a power up kind of a system, where when like an Arkanoid where you hit a brick and then it drops something, and then you hit it and you get a second ball, or your paddle goes big, your paddle goes small, or something like that. I think would be kind of fun to do.
But the Tetris thing where it comes down further and starts to block you, makes it much harder because you don't have much time between
Oh yeah,
sending stuff up.
yeah. And then I blit the shape in right here. And you might notice this isn't a cubelet, but we haven't really got to cubelets yet. But there's blit and there's cubelet. Blit will just blast the shape up there. It's fire forget it real quick. If you use a cubelet, it's actually associated with a Q, Q, and it will repair the damage that it's made when you unqueue it. So that helps with that screen repair, so that you don't have like a ball that like leaves a trail behind it because you're not repairing the screen as it moves. But when we're putting the bricks in, we just do a straight blit. Let's see here. All right. So let's go back to our game loop. The update scoreboard just puts the labels and the scores on that right-hand column there. Goes into Amiga mode and just has a font that it just prints out to the screen at a location. So that's not much of that. And then I display the level name before we get going. Got to check make sure that we haven't run out of lives or balls, and that we haven't gone past the last level here. I set the ball start an angle. Didn't have that initially, so it was kind of crazy when you lost the ball, because it was like going back and forth real quick. Then you'd launch it and it'd keep going back and forth real quick, and hard to get restarted. So I make sure that's set so it's going to come down to a nice soft angle, so you can get restarted nicely. And then we press the button, or the mouse button, or the joystick fire button will drop the ball. And then we're in a real tight loop here, where basically it's like, if the ball hasn't fallen through and you haven't hit all the bricks, we just keep doing this one little tight loop here, where we move the ball, we move the bat, we update the scoreboard, and loop back around. Print stuff is a bad name. Print stuff is where it actually updates the screen. The move ball and move bat are all calculations, and then the print stuff is actually commit that to the screen so the user can see it. And then in the movement, in the ball movement, is where it does the collision detection to see if it's hit anything, so that the print stuff routine will know what bricks to erase, or the scores to add, and all that kind of stuff. Let's see here. The move ball, I think, is pretty straightforward. Or the move bat's pretty straightforward. The move ball, I think, is the interesting one. So here's the ball. We have some variables. Oh, I never really mentioned this. Blitz has this deal where I call them global variables up top, and I say I call them global because in most languages, a global variable is just there. It's available everywhere. But within Blitz, you do have to tell it through this shared statement, those variables that you have access to. And if you don't include it in the shared statement, then you have no access to it.
Are these the ones that are also in the data file?
Well, in some routines they are. In this one, these are basically the BXBY is the ball's X and Y position. BDX BDY is the kind of the speed, the deltas. BTX BTY is the bat position, and then drop is a flag saying it's gone below the bat.
Okay, so these are actually used by these functions that you wouldn't want to do. So where is the initial assignment done? Or they assume that when it's shared with that initial assignment is
Well, like it's starting the
Live streaming is on.
Yay!
All right, live streaming is back. Oh, sorry to the audience on that one. Even it seems like we've got bandwidth now, but we still had some sort of glitch that dropped our stream. So we may be in for a technology switch for the weekend for a different streaming product. Let's see here. Let me type a quick message to the broadcast. Okay. All right, let's get back to some code here. All right, so we're back on this ball movement. The bat X and Y are set at the start of the game, and that just, you know, as it moves, it just keeps track of it throughout the game. And then the ball XY, that will get randomized when you lose a ball and the new one goes to launch. It'll randomize a new horizontal position to start from and a new angle. So that's how that gets set throughout the game. And then I've got the first part of the ball movement is pretty trivial. You know, making sure that I'm not going outside of the play field. If I am, I correct for that. As long as I'm inside the play field, then I can update the position of the ball. And after I've got my ball positions figured out, then I can do collision detection. So let me see here. Where is it? Oh, yeah, it isn't here. So let me share a different document with you real quick here on collision detection. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Let's go here. Oh, I need to. All right, so let's see here. I've got. All right. So I've got some notes that I wrote up on this, and I can put these notes online if anyone's interested in reading through this stuff again. When I first typed in the magazine version, it's basically, you know, when we're tracking this position, we're tracking this top left pixel. That is ball XY, this top left pixel. So you can imagine, since that top left pixel is really not the ball, it's actually possible for that top left pixel to hit a brick, but the actual ball shape is hitting the brick next to it, which makes for a very, very odd gameplay when the brick next to the one you hit disappears. So my approach to fixing that may be a brute force approach, but basically I looked at my shape and said, well, what I really have here is not one XY collision area, but I've got 8 collision areas. Each one of these corners is a collision area, because if you think about it, the ball can hit a brick traveling up, it can hit the top, come back down and hit a brick. It can be traveling, left, right, hit a brick. So you really gotta check the corners there.
Could you switch the math so that it thinks that top left is really 4 points over and 4 points down, and then do all the math 4 points out, and then you'd be tracking center to edge?
I could, but I'd still have to do a lot of math.
Yeah, true. You would, but then you would only be tracking 1 point, not 8 points.
I think that if I want to get a more swanky collision detection, I need to convert this to a sprite and use its collision detection.
And use it, yeah.
Yeah.
Hardware, right.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, I just thought that graphic might be a little helpful before we get into the code. So let's take this down. Let's stop sharing. And then let's go back over to here. Share. So then basically what I'm doing is I'm calling it a colliders array, and each of those 8 points, 0 through 7 points, I'm figuring out if it's any of those points. Well, I'm figuring out where they are on the screen, and then I will figure out if that location of the screen contains a brick. So I took what was essentially the single point collision logic and just blew it out to 8 checks. So there's some additional math in here, and it probably warrants another picture. But when you look at the screens we looked at, the 2 we looked at were pretty straightforward because it was like a single line of bricks, 2 lines of bricks. When you start using some of the other features to like skip rows or columns where you have blank areas, I don't know why I chose to do this, but rather than represent the way the screen looks and copy that into the array that I use for my collision detection, all the bricks in the internally represented are all compressed down. So the way it looks in the array in memory is not the way it looks on screen. So I've got to do a translation of screen coordinates into a XY position in my array of bricks, if that makes sense.
Kind of an easier way.
Yeah, I could have just said, make the array look exactly like the screen. It would have been a lot easier.
No.
So not sure why I did it that way, but that's what I did. So that's why we have some of this additional math where we're taking into the account the column and row offsets here. So I'm dividing by brick row and brick height because I'm wanting to once again compress this down into an XY and a array and not screen positions. Because my internal, if I've got 12 bricks across, I've got a 12 element array.
All you need to do is know what the width of every brick is, and it's consistent.
Right.
So.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what a lot of that math is doing in there. And then basically, after I figured out where these 8 collision points are in the world, I loop through them again, see if they hit something, and if they do, I make a note that there was a hit. I also make a note if it was a horizontal or vertical hit, so that the physics knows which way to shoot the ball off after it's been hit.
But if it always hits the bottom, it would always be.
Yeah, but it doesn't always hit the bottom.
Yeah, but it might hit the side of the brick.
Could also hit the top.
Or the bottom of the.
when it bounces off the top, could
It
come
goes
back
back
down
on
and
the top.
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding.
So it can hit all four sides.
Yeah.
So the physics say bounce this way based on the angle first and then the hit, because for example, if it comes up from underneath, hits and goes this way because of the momentum going this way. Can you work on that at all?
For the most part,
Why would you want to? You better do it yourself.
I have had times where the ball physics does do something a little bit odd, and I think it's around that scenario you're painting,
Mhm.
where it comes in and it hits a couple of balls. It gets, it.
What
and
do they
it's-
call it in tennis or ping pong?
Oh, you mean the spin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what I was saying,
They
yeah.
hit the spin by hitting sideways, and the ball spins so much.
I know, it goes
way over.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be very sophisticated.
It would be. It would be. So for the most part, it works. The way that it's going to appear, it works 99% of the time. But like I said, there are some times where it's not quite what you would expect, and I think that it might boil down to the scenario you're saying, where it evaluated vertical before horizontal, or vice versa.
What if the collision was on the exact corner?
Oh, now you're making, those are called edge cases.
Well, I think if it was on the exact corner, that it would potentially hit the two colliders, where the vertical horizontal physics question would come into play.
Except the pixel wouldn't be, it had to be one or the other. To be the bottom or the side or the bottom. Because the pixel would line up. Because you have the format of the bricks is pretty much locked. So
Yeah, we'd have to get a 6-pack of beer, some graph paper. That's a very heavy question.
I like that one though. They think twice about it.
Yeah.
Put some Irish on it, or English, or what?
English, yeah. English, that's it. Yeah, the spin. So let's see, where were we at on this? Oh, yeah, we talked about the hits. And the vertical hit, horizontal hit. So then we loop. This is another area where I could probably take this logic here and probably embed it into this loop up above, but haven't quite gotten to cleaning that kind of stuff up. So after we've determined what all's hit, we go through it. We make sure that we count that those bricks have been hit, so we know we've hit the max. Oh. So we've got graph paper here. The people at home are looking at code, and I'm getting handed graph paper so we can address physics problems.
More importantly, it's Mega graph paper.
And it's Amiga graph paper. Okay, alrighty. Stop sharing. Stop sharing. I've just got to release the mouse here from emulation. Stop sharing. So there we go. For the folks at home, we do have our Amiga OS graph paper in the house. Official Boing Ball logo at the bottom, which I'm confident is appropriately licensed, and
That's by the license holder.
We'll find out.
or we'll find out. Yeah.
Lawsuit coming.
No, that's from Hyperion.
Still.
That's one of those Hyperion notepads. Thing.
All right. And it does say at the bottom, remember when computing was fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's an old notepad.
Yeah.
It's just, I kept the sheet.
Let's see. Let's see here. Let's I think I minimized the emulation. And let's go back. Can't do a screen share when I minimize a window on this software. There we go. So anyways, based on our hits, we count our bricks and we add to the score. Because what's a game without a score? That's the whole reason we're here. It's this one line of code. We want to see a score. And then if we've got a hit, I play one of those little sound beeps that I generated up above. And then update the scoreboard will actually show the score to the user, to the player.
You can generate one more sound for like a big score, like, you know, every time you hit.
Like a Vegas sound. That's it.
You gotta play these games and work on this hard. You gotta make them fun.
So here's where we do our physics for reversing the ball direction. And it does have a lengthy note here. This simple approach has problems. Example, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, Michael, I've witnessed physics problems with this particular
So you already ran
approach.
into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, no real solutions there. Just a note to self. This isn't always working well.
I wondered whether that would be.
But it would be interesting to see if we reversed the horizontal and the vertical, if that, you know, helped it out some. Maybe doing one before the other happens more often. So
I think,
maybe
you know,
switching them would make it look better.
Yeah, because it's, you think that your hits are gonna be more often to the bottom than to the vertical, to the side, right? But, and not knowing what your logic, how your logic works, is it possible that you're already doing it the right way?
Right.
You're checking the vertical hidden first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So, of course, I do open the door here to, you know, both the vertical and horizontal hit at the same time. Well, the way this is, yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. It works a lot.
It worked. No, I saw it bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, how long does it take before you hit the anomaly when you're playing it? That, and then what's the effect of the anomaly? Ball seems to hit but doesn't, and it passes through it or by it? Or you get false positives or false negatives?
Well, that's where I need to put in some debugging and figure out when I get a weird physics, you know, event, what actually happened.
No,
Because-
but while you're playing, you can see the ball going up and it looks like it's gonna hit. Does it hit or not? Or
Well-
are there times
well,
when
it
it looks like
hits.
it's not gonna hit and it shows like it did?
Well, the one that I've noticed the most is like the ball's traveling up to a couple of bricks and it hits the bricks and you would expect it to bounce off. And it looks like it does like a little like jaggy where it like starts to bounce off but then continues in its original trajectory.
So maybe that's
Very-
actually your code hitting the vertical and then the horizontal going, no, and it's like
I don't
negating it.
I don't know. It's like I said, it's weird. It doesn't happen often.
Maybe the tachyons are faster than the.
Well, LD is listening.
So let's see here. I was thinking maybe the print stuff, because moving the bat, there's no collision detection. It's just, you know, what did the user press, move it this way or that way. Or if it's the mouse, it just reads the mouse position and puts it there, kind of a deal. So it's not a lot of interest in the move bat. That's pretty straightforward. And like I said, update scoreboard, just make sure we get the score out there. I'll move bat. So here's the print stuff routine. This is what after we've done all of our calculations of everything that's moving around the screen, this is where we actually show it to the user. So let's see here. Did I go too far? Let's see here. We've got our parameters. Then we check to see if there was a hit. Did you have success, LD?
I did.
For those at home, LD just threw his hands up in the air in the successful position.
No. It had to do with SSL. Let's get back to this.
So when there's a hit, I loop through the hits, and bitmap 3 is my background repair bitmap. So we let's see, what am I doing here?
What,
So from bitmap 1, we do a blit, bitmap 0. Oh, this is the one where I think my double buffering approach may not have been exactly right. Because with double buffering, you're supposed to update one bitmap and then swap it in, and then that'll be the live one, and then you start updating the previously live bitmap, and then swap it back and forth. And I think what I'm doing here is I'm repairing everything all at once, which kind of goes against the whole double buffering idea.
Right. You're actually
Yeah.
single buffering twice.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. This is the next part I need to fix.
Out two of those blitz right there. Your code will run twice as fast.
Exactly. But blitz are really fast, so
Right.
so it doesn't really matter. Then we do the ball, and we're using the Q bits to move the ball and the bat. Let's see here. There's some notes from other artifacts that I was having. I think I fixed, even though I don't think I'm doing it right, I'm not getting a lot of weird artifacts anymore. So it's one of those things where it's like exactly. Because then, because with the double buffering, I would do the v wait to get to the end of the v wait is the command for when you're at the very bottom scan line, and then show the buffer, and then switch your buffer pointer to the one that you're to the one to the other one. Say you're going to use that one, and then. And the unqueue is for the cublets up above. So the unqueues for their screen repairs. So yeah, this is kind of like the double buffering down here. It's just I should not be doing the screen repair up there on the active bitmap like I am.
It's a neat solution to a problem that ideally wouldn't exist.
Depending on your hardware.
So let's see. That's pretty much all the interesting stuff. Because after you've done that, if you lose the ball or you beat the game, you're just falling through the game loops, and either given a game over screen. It will check the leaderboard when you end, but I haven't gotten as far as where you can enter your name into the leaderboard. Right now, that's just a variable I have in there to put a name in there. I haven't done for some reason, when I got to the point where it's like enter your name, the command for that was crashing on me every time. So I haven't quite got that worked out to where you can actually enter your name into the leaderboard. But I did get it to where the save logic works.
What about the logic where it loads the leaderboard to the internet so everybody can see?
Oh. That would be cool, but my 500 is not connected to the internet, so.
I have this little doohickey though. It's actually the fellow.
Yeah. I've heard of those doohickeys.
They're slow, but they work.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it, without getting into some more boring details.
You could have 500, print out a little postcard that says my high score was.
Yes.
Would stamp here.
Exactly.
Did you look at anybody else's rig code?
No, just the sample that I started with.
So the sample you started with was what kind of game? What was it?
It was a brick.
It was another brick code.
Brick breaking game. Yeah. That's.
But it must have been a lot simpler.
What's
You got
that?
a lot.
Oh yeah. I added a ton to it.
Yeah, I remember the sample. It was a really small sample.
Right. Right. The total size of the sample was maybe a page and a half of code.
How was he detecting collision?
If I remember correctly, he was just looking at that ball XY.
On the
Yeah.
corner?
Yeah.
See, I keep thinking, you can take your ball XY, divide it by the size of the brick. And that would put you on the coordinates of your grid of bricks. And then just see whether or not it's within the diameter of the ball to this. Actually, you'd be the diameter of the ball and the size, be it width or height of the brick, of each one of the center points of the brick. One test. And then you just check to see if you're within the horizontal, within the vertical, and that'll tell you if you hit it at the bottom, at the top, or on the corner. You only have one test, 4 numbers. Test, 2 distances, and 4 checks.
Okay.
But you have to get that 6-pack of beer. You have the graph paper.
Someone call Brian. He's our beverage guy. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and close down the stream for the day.
What are the people saying on the
Let's see.
chat? Anybody chatting?
I don't know.
I saw Lionel said that you were making sounds without him on the chat.
Making sounds without him.
Well, remember he wrote the music program. He also wrote the soft driver for the X1000 audio chip. So he's the audio guy.
Let's see here. Well, they don't put timestamps on these chats, do they?
It's on the side of the chat there.
I got hours, minutes, and seconds.
Cool.
Oh.
Because they can hear us when they type things in.
Oh, yeah.
I was typing things in when I
Well,
was
I was
talking about Pixie.
Yeah, I was just looking at the chat. I don't know if mine's updating, or people just aren't chatting right now.
They're probably not chatting.
Probably not chatting. They're probably drinking beer and passing out.
They probably had dinner 2 or 3 hours ago
Yeah.
in Europe
So
or on the East Coast.
They're having their midnight snack now.
Yeah, East
Maybe.
Coast is
alrighty.
3 hours later.
Okay, well, for those who stuck through this whole thing, thanks. We appreciate it. My understanding is this will be recorded automatically on YouTube. It'll be on our Bill's AmiWest channel for forever. For those who want to live through it again. So